You were married to him?
Yes, Your Honor. I have a permanent order of protection and my child.
Not by my choice.
He has fought the restraining order.
So I can see my son that she has kidnapped.
You have no right with regard to this child. That's the law. Do not bother her again.
This is Judy Justice. Melissa Grayjack is suing her ex-husband, Adham Elabiani, for moving expenses, travel costs, legal fees, and harassment.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Case 3182, Grayjack versus LL Biani.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Miss Grayjack, you were married to him?
Yes, Your Honor.
From when to when?
Short marriage from September 2014. Our divorce was finalized December of 2016.
And that marriage produced a child?
Yes, Your Honor.
That child was born in what year?
He was born in the fall of 2015.
This is an interesting case in an area that I'm somewhat familiar with. When your divorce was final, according to you, you got full custody of your son, correct? And there was issued at some point a permanent order of protection that kept your husband, Ibiani, away from you and the boy.
Yes, Your Honor.
Who issued that order and when?
An emergency order of protection was issued in May of 2016, which was later, after a hearing, made a 5-year restraining order protecting both myself and my child.
You remember that order, sir?
Yes.
You remember that trial?
Yes.
Now, the 5-year order issued included the boy.
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you have a copy of that order?
I do, Your Honor.
I'd like to see it.
The 5-year?
Yes.
Okay. So it was originally issued and then amended to the final 5-year.
Before I look at this, I just want to lay out the facts of the case. It is your claim that the defendant's actions by continuing to file cases against you is harassment and abuse of the system, and that because of his stalking and harassment, you've had to move, lost work, and his behavior by this harassment and stalking and multiple filings of multiple cases when there is no basis for filing is nothing more than really aggravated harassment. The defendant has a counterclaim due to mental distress and kidnapping his son. That's what his counterclaim is. Is there any decision other than this order?
So I have some decisions that were made later on as far as like our minute orders from hearings. I also have criminal protective order that protects my son.
I object, Your Honor. There's no criminal protective order that expired in 2020.
That doesn't make any difference whether it expired, sir. It existed. You, I understand. A court issuing an order that precludes a father from seeing his child, and this case gets more complicated because his parental rights were terminated. With his consent, he signed off on terminating his parental rights, and the child has subsequently been adopted by your husband. That puts the case sort of in context. Do you have your judgment of divorce?
No, Your Honor.
The judgment of divorce was 2016.
Yes, Your Honor.
Who got custody of the child? Was it joint custody?
No, he never. From day one, I've had sole custody, physical.
Physical and legal?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, is that correct, Mr. Rebiani?
Yeah.
Now, you remarried in what year?
I remarried in March of 2018.
Do you have any children from that marriage?
No, Your Honor.
You still married?
No, Your Honor. That's what comes into play for the upcoming harassment that's been recent. We separated in December of 2021. Our divorce was finalized in May of 22.
Okay, so the person who adopted your son is no longer your husband?
Correct, Your Honor. But
Okay.
he's still the legal father.
I understand that. Did you remarry?
I get married next week.
And I see you're expecting.
Yes, Your Honor.
When?
Next month.
Okay. In what month and year did the defendant agree to terminate his parental rights?
February of 2022.
No, that's not correct. January 2019.
January 2019.
Yes.
Where was it that you actually, was it in a lawyer's office? Was it in a courthouse?
San Diego Courthouse, North County.
So you appeared before a judge?
Yes.
and the judge asked you questions.
Correct.
And when the judge asked you questions, because I'd been there, the judge had to tell you that once you've agreed to terminate your parental rights, you are free from the obligation to support the child?
Correct.
Judge told you that? That you have no rights to see the child?
That's incorrect, actually.
You mean the judge didn't explain to you that once you terminate your parental rights?
I have here the adoption agreement. It allows me visitation time.
May I see? Okay, this is very clear, sir. It doesn't say what you indicate. It says, any contact between the boy and his cousins shall be arranged through the mothers. Future contact between the boy and the respondent or extended family members, respondent, that's you, may be arranged provided there is no restraining order or criminal protective order in place, and as long as desires and initiates such contact.
Correct.
Not you.
I understand.
And doesn't give you any rights.
Correct. But it doesn't specify who can be the custodian on that, and I asked the court for a guardian ad litem to make the determination.
You asked that of the court in what year?
October 2023.
And this agreement, which is a settlement agreement, was 2021.
Let's call it what it is. It's blackmail because...
I'm going to finish with this part of it.
Yes.
This agreement's 2021.
Correct.
And the last order of protection expired when?
I have a permanent order of protection.
For you?
And my child.
Is that here?
Yes, Your Honor. It's the final one from August of 2022, I believe. And when that termination agreement was signed, the criminal protective order
It's
protecting
2020.
only my son was still...
Just a second. Would you ask her to just give me the order that makes it permanent in favor of herself and the child? Unless, of course, you acknowledge that there is a permanent order of protection.
I acknowledge it, ma'am.
Okay,
But
never
I'm not
mind.
acknowledging
Shh,
2022.
don't speak. I'm just saving myself a little time, sir.
Melissa Graycheck has accused her ex-husband, Adham Elabiani, of harassing her for custody of their son. Adham is countersuing, claiming Melissa forced him to give up his parental rights.
Okay, there is a permanent order of protection in favor of the plaintiff and the child, and you are the respondent.
Correct.
And it is a no-contact order.
Correct.
Okay, so this settlement agreement that you entered into, sir, says that any future contact with you may be arranged provided there is no restraining or criminal protective order in place.
Correct.
And initiates the contact.
Correct.
So there is a permanent restraining order in place. You have no right to seek anything with regard to this child. As long as that permanent restraining order is in place, there's nothing here that gives you any right to file cases.
Correct.
I'm just telling you.
Yes.
That's the law. That's what your settlement agreement says. You
Correct.
agree with that?
Of course.
And you would agree that you have filed multiple proceedings in order to see your son. How
One.
many?
No, Your
Only one.
He's filed 2 petitions in the state of Arizona and 1 petition in the state of California.
That's incorrect, ma'am.
I have a copy of.
I'd like to see them. You sure? 2 in Arizona, 1 in California, after your parental rights were terminated.
I filed to request that the restraining order be set aside.
Just a second. You said 1. She says 3. There's a difference. 1 and 3.
This is first Arizona, California, and second Arizona.
Two. That would be 3.
That's one hearing, ma'am.
Well, it would be 3. 2 in one state, 1 in another state. Where do you work, sir?
Oh, I'm self-employed.
Where's your office?
I have a home office
Where's your home?
in Georgia.
Now, I'm going to tell you, you have no right to have any contact with her or your son. Do you understand that?
Yes, I do.
Very good. And you did have contact, ongoing contact with her when there is a permanent restraining order in favor of her and your son to keep you away.
Correct.
You have a defense?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
I'd like to hear, because what your defense here is that you were forced to sign a document terminating your parental rights, and the courts should vacate it.
No, I did not ask for that.
Well, what did you ask for?
My ask of the court was not to vacate this order. I do not care about vacating this order. My ask of the court was to set aside the restraining order and hire a guardian ad litem to see if my son wants to see me or not.
And the judge said?
The judge said that the statute of limitation on that has passed, that I should have filed an appeal back in 2020. So
Yeah, Judge, all I had to do is read your settlement. The settlement says that you cannot move to see your child unless, one, there is no longer a restraining order in favor of the child.
Correct.
The only thing that you can do to mitigate this settlement agreement is to go back to the court and say, I'm moving to vacate the order, the permanent restraining order. It's going to be denied, so you could save yourself some money. And then I would ask the court to assign a guardian ad litem to see if my son wants to see me.
That's exactly what I did.
Just a second. They didn't vacate the order.
No.
Well, then you can't file.
I didn't.
That's
what happened. That's exactly what happened in March. And I did not file anything since then, ma'am. She's doing this because I filed one time in 4 years a request to set aside the restraining order so I can see my son that she has kidnapped.
Okay. I'm not getting into that.
If I may add.
Yes.
So because he has fought the restraining order over and over and over again since it was issued in 2016, Mr. Libiani was actually declared vexatious litigant in the state of California in 2019. And then
Would you
he
look
was
that up,
declared
please?
again.
That was in 2009.
I have a copy of
Yeah,
that
I'd like
order.
to see it.
I also have a copy here. This is my permission to grant me to file for this, as granted by the judge.
While she's looking for that order, sir, I would just like to know, can you tell me, you haven't seen your son since 2018, and I've had no communication with him?
Not by my choice.
Of course by your choice, sir. Of course
not.
it's by your choice. You agreed to terminate your parental rights and have no rights whatsoever to see him.
No, ma'am, that's not what happened.
He is on the list in San Diego Superior Court. The date being December 12th, 2019. He was added to that list.
Just a second. So in 2019,
Yes.
you were added to the list of people who could no longer file any actions relative to this case in the state of California.
Without permission of a judge.
And some judge who didn't read it right gave you permission. Ultimately, you were told you can't file here.
No, ultimately I was denied because I should have appealed the order.
Oh, shoulda, woulda, coulda. Go, let me see it.
So this is the order that was in this vexatious litigant.
Sir, you have any other children?
Yes,
How many?
2 more,
How old are they?
4 and 5,
Where do they live?
with me.
Are you married?
No, divorced.
You got custody.
No.
Correct.
No, Your Honor. My witness is...
Just said, let him answer. Let him answer, please. You are the primary custodian of those children?
For the past 3 years, for the past 4 years.
Where is their mother? Oh, that would be you.
That would be me, yes, ma'am.
Okay. Stand up. You have 2 children.
We do.
4 and 5 years old.
Yes, ma'am.
Do they live with you?
We have a no,
That's my question.
Yes, ma'am.
Just follow me. They do not live with you.
no,
And they have not lived with you for the last 4 years.
incorrect.
When
This-
was the last time they lived with you?
we do have an order. It's a temporary order. They do come see me on a frequent basis.
I didn't ask you whether they...
Lived with me 2021.
2020.
So for the last...
One.
Whatever. For the last several years, their father has been their sole custodian.
Not by my choice, no.
Who cares by whose? It had to be by a judge's choice.
Yes.
And however, judges usually say, we're supposed to say, we see no different in the sexes, mother, father, nobody has greater rights to a child, mother or father. Most judges say, you know, if there's nothing wrong with the mother, then little kids should be, and the children were little then, we're going to let these little children be raised by their father, the father whose parental rights were terminated and not only parental rights terminated, but a final order of protection exists in favor of a child who is older than your children.
I do have something to say. This is all temporary in the state of Georgia.
I want to tell you something, madam. 3 years isn't temporary. If I didn't see my dog for 2 days, I would say to myself, what happened? My life is over. I don't sit down. I got it.
Okay.
Sit.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Melissa Grayjack claims her ex-husband, Adham Elabiani, has used the court system to harass her for many years. Adham is countersuing for emotional distress, claiming Melissa refuses to let him see their son.
Okay.
Judge, can I say something, please?
Now, just looking at this. This court has substantial concerns about the respondent's inability to understand the consequences of his behavior. Although the respondent has shown an ability at times to regulate his behavior.
There was judicial misconduct in my case, to the point where I shouted at this judge and his bailiff in the courtroom. And this is what he is referring to. And this is why he punished me and prevented me from having my son. Has nothing to do with serious actions of mine.
What prohibited you, Mr. Elbiani, from having your son was the fact that you agreed to terminate your parental rights.
That's incorrect, ma'am.
Just a second. And you said, just a second. And you said that your defense to her action was that you were blackmailed. That's what you said to me.
Correct.
And the reason you were blackmailed is because she said you're going to have to support him to the tune of $50,000. And that was enough for you to say, okay, where do I sign? Just show me where I...
That's incorrect, ma'am.
Let me see what it says.
$40,000 in 3.5 years.
Eventually, Melissa was able to adopt my son with her new husband because she blackmailed me. She said that if I didn't sign the paperwork, I would have to pay $50,000 in child support, which she knew I didn't have. She had attorneys, and I couldn't afford a lawyer at the time, so I signed the paperwork.
She filed to hold me in contempt of the court order. And at the time, I was a green card holder. So she used that, and if I violated that, I would have been deported.
Take this back.
And,
Okay.
Your Honor, he had an attorney for the adoption. I have a copy of his attorney, the court assigning him one.
Did the court assign you an attorney for the adoption?
Course.
Okay. So you were represented by counsel.
Correct.
Good. Okay. It's a particularly sad case, but not very difficult to rule on. You may have made a mistake when you consented to terminate your parental rights. May have, which allowed for your son to be adopted. You can't continue to torture her. Don't speak. I'm ruling now. So you can't continue to torture her. And there has to be some financial consequence for you because 2 judges have already told you you have to stop annoying her.
Actually, no, ma'am.
Don't.
She asked
speak.
for
Hey,
double jeopardy, ma'am.
What part of my mouth don't you understand? This is not a back and forth anymore. Now I'm ruling. And what I'm telling you is, sir, this is my ruling.
And that's an incorrect ruling.
This is my ruling. This is my ruling.
The judge already denied her sanction.
Listen to me. This is my playpen. They cut off your mic.
Correct.
So it's like my not hearing you. I'm ruling now, and I'm telling you that I am awarding her $5,000 to send a message to you. Do not bother her again. However, so that's my judgment. I'm dismissing your counterclaim as of no merit. But what I'm suggesting to you is, and this is just a suggestion, he clearly, in the mind of some judge, was sufficiently fit to be a full-time custodian for 2 small children because she may have had. I don't know what kind of problems she had, but to grant custody to a father who has a protective order for another child permanently during his minority, it must have been some beaut of evidence. Don't shake your head. So all I'm saying to you is, I'm not so sure that somewhere down the line, your son would like to be able to see all of his half-siblings, the ones that you're going to have and the ones that his father has. Maybe.
Yes, Your Honor. The mother and I have talked, and when it is safe, that is definitely something we're open to.
Great. Okay.
Yeah.
That's my ruling. Judgment for the plaintiff, $5,000. Thank you.
Your Honor.
This court is adjourned.
It's double jeopardy. She was denied sanctions before.
He has no interest in my child. He just doesn't want, he wants to punish me by making sure I can't have access.
I mean, they are both scorned women.
He's just trying to control the situation, the people, the kids. He wants to control everybody, and if it's not going his way, it's a problem for him.
I just want to see my son. That's all I want, just see my son.
I don't foresee an end coming, but we'll keep doing whatever we can to protect our kids.
You know, one thing I'm sure you're also wondering is how a judge would grant the defendant permanent custody, physical and legal, of 2 younger children when there's an outstanding permanent restraining order, which is not a low burden to meet, to receive a permanent restraining order, especially for a biological child. So I'm just wondering if that was an oversight on the judge that granted him the custody of the 2 younger ones, or maybe the plaintiff's witness, the mother of those children, really had a record that we didn't see, because I can't think of a reason why I or you or any judge should be granting that sort of custody to someone who had this outstanding permanent restraining order.
Don't know, except she was probably a beaut with something. And as between foster care and state care and father, court granted him custody, and it's evidently been without incident over the last 3 years because he still has physical custody. But I think what I said at the end of the case, aside from the fact that she was right, he's making her life a living hell. Since he is raising these 2 young children, and these 2 young children are siblings of this boy, they should consider it. And I see that these 2 ex-wives have at least been talking with regard to that.
You know, I would agree, and I usually agree with that sentiment of the children always come first and they should meet their half-siblings. But I think there's a lot underlying that permanent restraining order that we did not hear here today.
Right.
So you never know what's going on. But she seemed open to it when it was safe, so that was at least a good step.
Maria Gonzalez and her son, Noe Ramirez, are suing Maria's daughter's ex-fiancé, Michael Cortez, for wedding costs and vandalism to Noe's car.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Case 3108, Gonzalez Ramirez versus Cortez.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
You're Miss Gonzalez.
Yes, I am.
This is your son.
Yes, Your Honor.
That's your daughter.
Yes, Your Honor.
Your daughter and Mr. Cortez were engaged to be married.
That's correct.
How old is your daughter?
She's 28.
And you, sir?
27.
How did you meet?
We had met on a dating app back in October 2020.
Okay. And when did you become engaged?
It was sometime in 2022. It might have been around April.
Did you give her a ring?
I did.
Your Honor, they were engaged in September 2022.
Did it sound better?
I believe so, yes.
Okay, this is what the case is about. Miss Gonzalez, it is your claim that wedding plans started to be made, you were paying for the wedding, and he broke off the wedding and broke off the marriage, future marriage, and you believe he is responsible for the non-refundable deposits that you put down on venue and maybe music, flowers, I don't know what. And that's part of your claim. You, sir, are her son, her brother, and it is your claim that Mr. Cortez vandalized your car.
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Cortez denies that he vandalized your car. So I will hear your proof with regard to that. Mr. Cortez says that there is some property. Your harassment allegations don't reach the level of harassment, sir, but you claim that they have certain property that belongs to you.
Yes, and I do have a text message from Kristen Ramirez stating to one of my friends that she has my property and has refused to give it.
Oh, so that will make my job much easier when I get to your counterclaim. Okay, so Ms. Gonzalez, you started to plan a wedding.
What happened was they came in and they spoke to Kristen's father and myself. They announced their engagement. And so we congratulated them. We said we would pay for the majority of the cost, but that we did have some things that we wanted them to pay for.
That's okay.
So at the time, I wasn't too familiar with Michael. And so just as precaution, I did ask him if he would be okay if he broke off the engagement, that he would reimburse for the venue, because the venue is something that is not always reimbursed.
Did you ever have that discussion with her?
No.
I can't tell you how many weddings that I've made, Miss Gonzalez. Children, grandchildren, made and paid for. I have never had that discussion with any of the future spouses. If you break it off, you have to reimburse me for down payments.
It was
I never.
Yeah.
I never.
Just the way that he was acting, it made me feel like I needed that reinsurance.
I don't believe you, actually, at all. Because if I, as a mother, you have 2 children?
Yes, I do.
I feel I have 2 children. If I had certain reluctance about either the character or the commitment that one of my children's future mates have, it wouldn't be about returning my money. I would sit down with my daughter and say, you know, I'm not getting a great feeling about this guy. I have a feeling he's going to slip. And if I had a feeling I was going to slip, and if you wanted to extract that promise to him, should have put it in writing.
Right.
Because it doesn't make sense to me based upon my own personal experience that that's not the way a new marriage starts with, by the way, if it doesn't work out, you're going to pay me back for this, right?
Right. Well, my means are limited, so...
And so are his.
Yeah. And so what we did was we had an agreement. We asked...
Just a second, show me.
We
show
had
me.
a verbal...
Just show me.
Well,
I'm telling you, I don't buy it. But I'm going to listen to him.
Okay.
And I'm going to listen to any proof that you have.
Okay.
See any proof that you have where he committed to paying for the wedding in the event that he broke up the engagement.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay? She just told me that you said to her at some point, I will pay for your non-refundable stuff if something happens. Tell me your version of it.
So what she said is not true. What happened was on the night of October 1st, I had gone to her house to speak with Kristen, my girlfriend at the time. I wanted to talk to her about a prenup. My witness here...
Just a second. You wanted to talk to her about a prenup. Why?
Earlier in the year, Kristen made demands towards me saying she wanted to buy a house, but she only had $200 in her savings account, and I had $40,000. So she was expecting me to make the down payment. And at the time, I had savings. I had 2 cars. I have a master's degree. She was kind of expecting me to provide for her. And at the time, I did not feel that was fair.
You mean that you were going to use your cash to buy a house?
Yes.
That was going to be in both your names?
Yes.
And you wanted a prenup so that you would get whatever you put into the house out of it. Is that what you're telling me?
Yes, because at the time, she was pretty much telling me where we had to buy the house. It had to be within a certain...
Just a second. Would you sit down a minute and let your sister stand up?
Yes, Your Honor.
You're Kristen.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Kristen, I want you to tell me about this house business. You had no money.
I don't have savings, but I had a job.
But you don't have money. You don't have savings. He had savings. You were living with your parents. You discussed with him buying a house?
We did in the future. It wasn't about buying a house. We had to have some form of living situation when we get married. That was the expectation. And that's what my mom discussed with him too, was that it wasn't him needing to buy a house then and there and in a certain area. We just needed to be able to live somewhere because we're getting married. How are we going to live in like our
you work, you just told me, and he works. So you find an apartment and you each contribute to the rent and the expenses.
Yeah.
Is that what was the intention?
Yeah, and we're both on the lease agreement, and I did pay half, or I paid as much as I could.
Did you live together?
We lived together, and then my brother also offered to be on to kind of help with costs too. So it was
kind of help with costs. You mean he lived there?
He also took up the spare bedroom.
Well, that would be a yes. He lived there.
Yeah.
So I have a copy of the lease. It's myself, Maria Gonzalez, and Kristen Ramirez. At the time...
Okay, so you're on the lease.
Yes, I co-signed for him because he was hesitant in getting and securing a housing. We had less than 2 months, Your Honor, for the wedding. And I was very truthful with him, and I told him, you cannot live in our house. You need to secure housing. That was our agreement in the beginning, that you would be responsible for housing. I never said anything about buying a house or anything. It's just
you got a butt out of your children's business. You have a 28-year-old daughter. What are you giving him instructions for?
Because, Your Honor, he wasn't doing anything. He had a room.
Well, that's up to her.
Right.
That's not up to you. I mean, your daughter's almost 30. Why is that up to you when she's got a fiance? She's got to figure out what she's going to do with him. What did you have to do with that?
When we were discussing the wedding, we did say these were the expectations. You were to have a place for them to stay, It didn't matter where they were going to stay. I never said anything about you have to buy a house or you need to get an apartment or anything. It's just a stable
What
place.
other expectations
The
did
other
you
one
indicate
was
to him that you were expecting?
that he pay for the wedding license and that he pay for his clothing. That's the only thing that we asked.
You mean for the license and for his clothing for the wedding?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yes.
Maria Gonzalez and her son, Noe Ramirez, claim Maria's daughter's ex-fiancé, Michael Cortez, owes for wedding costs. Michael is countersuing for the return of property and personal threats.
Okay. You were telling me a story, and let's get to it rather quickly, because what day is it today? Wednesday?
Wednesday.
Something about sushi for lunch on Wednesday. So you went to the house to discuss a prenup.
Yes.
And what happened?
Originally, at the time, me and Kristen agreed that we wanted to do a prenup, and this was something that she discussed between myself and my dad a year ago. At the time, Kristen was the one who wanted the prenup.
Because she was going to inherit a house.
Yes.
Well, what house were you going to inherit?
I just want to correct that I did not discuss a prenup with his father when we discussed the
No, you
engagement.
fine. You discussed it, just the two of you.
It was between us and my therapist.
There was a breakup, Your Honor, in February, and it was between them.
Okay, we're going to forget about these wedding costs. I could see the handwriting on the wall a long time ago. You should have too.
Your
Would you
Honor,
tell me? Forget it. Not
do
happening.
I do have messages that he was offering his Mercedes for payment reimbursement for the wedding.
Okay,
I do have.
I'll take a look at that. Would you mind telling me what happened when you went to the house to talk about the prenup? That's what you were in the middle of.
Yes. So we had discussed about wanting to do a prenup, and we agreed. And then about 20 minutes later, the mom came in to the apartment, started blowing up on me, saying, "How dare I make her daughter work? How dare I make her daughter pay rent? How dare I force her to sign a prenup?"
Okay. Kristen, you remember that discussion?
It was not.
Do you remember the discussion?
Yes.
All right. Just answer my question. These very easy.
Okay.
Things are common sense. You were having a discussion with him about a prenup. Originally, you wanted a prenup because of an inheritance that you anticipated. What inheritance did you anticipate?
I anticipated my father giving me a house.
And is that what started the prenup discussion?
No.
Did you ever discuss that with him?
No, not till that night.
I'm talking about that night. Do you remember that discussion?
Yes.
Did your mother come in during the course of that discussion at any time?
We went to his apartment, to our shared apartment.
Who went?
She came in. Me and my mother. He had left our house to the apartment.
So he went to the apartment, and you and your mother went to the apartment. And do you recall what your mother was indicating to Mr. Cortez as regard to the expectations she had, or the two of you had, with regard to what he was going to do to take care of you?
Yes.
And what did your mother say?
She sat him down and she said that the way he had been acting up until this time was not acceptable. That it was originally stated that if he was having cold feet, we gave him multiple times if he wanted to postpone the wedding, that he could. And he kept saying, no, I want to keep going with the wedding date. Even after we had broken up and he wanted to come back. And my mom reiterated to him that he was supposed to pay for the venue if he forfeited the wedding. And she was discussing with him the verbal abuse that she witnessed leading up to this event. Because he knows I have really bad anxiety, and that she did not like seeing him use that against me when it came to me driving, when it came to me trying to find a better job, when it came to like trying to provide for the family. I tried my best as much as I could. And that's what she discussed with him on that night. It had nothing to do with all these expectations. It was just, I needed help being able to speak for myself, because like, I don't know if you can see I'm shaking. Like, I need help sometimes in order to help myself. And that's what she was here for.
He wasn't buying it. Do you understand? It's too bad. You said you had proof in writing that he somehow, someplace agreed to pay for the deposits that you had. I'd like to see what proof you have of that.
Yes, ma'am.
Just show me.
Yes, ma'am.
Don't show me anything other than that. Just show me that.
Yes, ma'am. Now, the first one is
Just a second. Who wrote this?
Michael Cortez.
He wrote it.
Yes, and he
Okay.
left it in my mailbox.
October 13th, 2020, I paid for the down payment for a home for me and Kristen. Both names on it. I would be putting down 40 to 50K. If we have kids, it'll go to them. To compensate for the wedding, I would be willing to financially support Kristen if she needs to focus on herself. Whether it's bills or rent, I would be willing to help. In addition, I would pay for a new wedding. I don't know what that means.
Your Honor, I never wrote that letter.
This?
Correct. I never wrote it or signed any letters.
He placed that in my mailbox.
Kevin, would you go over this? Give him this pen, and I want you to write the following. I don't want to throw away. Okay, that's all. Yeah, you wrote it. Well, this is a very nice letter. I don't know why you would deny writing this letter. This is a very nice thing. He does not say he's going to pay for a wedding.
He said he would pay for another wedding.
No, a new wedding.
On the text messages that he sent.
Just a second.
Yes.
Now I'm going to read the text message. This is nothing except a very nice letter from him. No, doesn't say here that he's going to pay for a wedding. He wants to make it work out. He would love that so much. I can offer my Mercedes since the front bumper is fixed and valued at $10,000. I would be willing to do couples therapy with Kristen, pay her bills, and do everything I can to make it right, only if this is what Kristen wants. I'll even sign contracts so we are all on the same page, but I understand you don't want me in her life. And if she feels the same way, I want my pictures taken down tonight. So this does not support your argument. If you're not going back to me because of the money, I can give you the Benz. It's worth $10,000. What's that about?
I'm not too sure, Your Honor.
Can I ask you a question, Mr. Cortez?
Yes.
These emails suggest to me that you were very much in love with the plaintiff's daughter.
Yes.
And you wanted to make it work.
Yes.
And how did it not work? What happened?
The night of October 1st, when the mom blew up on me, she made all these threats towards me about legal action, physical harassment.
And is that when the wedding was called off?
Yes.
He says that I threatened him. I did not threaten him.
Whether you threatened him or not, you went there with your daughter.
I did.
And at that point, after this discussion, after these emails, which I see, and because he clearly felt strongly for your daughter, that's when the wedding was called off.
Yes.
Well, he didn't walk away.
Yes, he did.
I don't
he
think
left
so.
that.
Yeah.
He left that day, that night after our discussion. He took everything out of the apartment and he left, Your Honor.
Okay.
He left a note that said, "I'm sorry," with his wedding ring on the pillow on the bed.
Fine. I would too. Don't get involved if your daughter's getting married, and I wouldn't do it if your son's getting married either. It's none of your business. Stay out of it. Keep your nose out of it. You can sit down now. Stand up. Noe,
Yes.
you were living in the apartment with Mr. Cortez that your mother co-signed for when your sister was supposed to get married and blah, 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 blah. You went to live with him?
Yes, Your Honor.
And you say that something happened to your car. On what date did something happen to your car?
It was the 27th of November.
Of October, November.
If you don't speak, that's your problem. You get too much involved in your adult children's business.
Maria Gonzalez and her son, Noe Ramirez, are accusing Maria's daughter's ex-fiancé, Michael Cortez, of refusing to pay for deposits after their wedding was canceled. Michael is countersuing for the return of property and personal threats.
Okay, November 27th.
Yes, Your Honor.
When had you seen your car prior to seeing it damaged?
That morning. I have pictures right here, if you'd like to see them.
I would, but first tell me what the nature of the damage was.
It was you scratched into the trunk of my car, and my back right tire was slashed.
And what evidence do you have that the defendant had anything to do with that?
We don't make enemies. Like, we don't have enemies. He's the only person.
Is what you're telling me you have no evidence to support your accusation that he keyed your car?
We do not have video footage, no.
I didn't ask you for video footage. I asked you for any evidence. Somebody saw it. He admitted it.
No, Your Honor.
Okay, well, then you don't have the case. You understand that, right?
Yes, Your Honor.
What did he owe you $1,000 for?
The $1,000 was for the damage to the car.
Did he ever acknowledge that he would give you $1,000?
No, Your Honor.
Oh, then he doesn't owe you anything. Okay, I can deal with that quickly. I have a counterclaim. The counterclaim says that they have property of yours. What property do they have?
Kristen Ramirez had sent a text message to one of my friends claiming that she has my property. I don't know exactly what all she has. She's refused to talk to me.
Just a second.
Yes.
You can sit because your case is dismissed. You actually understand that because you have no proof that he caused any damage to your car. Kristen, stand up, please. Before I take a look at the text that he has, what property, if any, do you have that belongs to him? Is not an answer. Let's go. What property do you have that belongs to him?
I believe he left a birth certificate at my house.
Where is it?
It was in the safe in my room.
So you have his birth certificate. What else?
I'm not too sure what else he left in there. He's the one that put them in the safe.
He says he has a list, which I will look at, that you sent to someone of items of his that you have. And I'm asking you, before I look at the list, what other items of his do you have?
Other than that, I have no idea. I haven't looked
Okay,
at
now
it.
I'll see the document that you're referring to. She's going to give you back your birth certificate.
Okay, I have it. It's going to be this message.
So far, I don't see what it is.
Right. It's not listed in there. She just acknowledges that she has my stuff. She kept it vague.
She's going to give you back your birth certificate. It's sort of misleading, sir.
Yes, Your Honor.
Now we're going to get back to one other little thing that's gnawing at me before I finish this case. So with regard to your belongings, she's going to return to you within 5 days. Make sure it's sent and doesn't get lost in the mail. Do you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
Any paper she has that's in your safe, including your birth certificate. Do you understand?
Yes.
Okay, fine. Now, I just want to get to this Mercedes-Benz. What was the Mercedes-Benz that you were offering for, sir? I can turn over the Mercedes-Benz. I want you to tell me something that I can believe.
Your Honor, I'm not too sure. I do have a receipt from the wedding venue that I emailed. They said that even if she were to cancel, she is, they accommodate with rescheduling. So it's not like she's out of all her money.
But she's just got to find another groom.
I mean, she could always throw a birthday party.
No, she can have another groom. You still haven't given me something that I believe with regard to the Mercedes-Benz. You mentioned it several times.
To be honest, Your Honor, I'm not too sure.
Okay. Well, you know, I usually don't like to split the baby in half, but it seems to me as if that there is some evidence that you agreed to participate in the event that something happened with the venue. And I don't necessarily think that you are 100% responsible for the breakup of this relationship. I think there was a lot of problems and interference on both sides. How much was the venue, the non-refundable venue, cost?
$7,050.
Okay. Mr. Cortez,
Yes.
while it's usually not my practice to leave anybody happy that comes into my courtroom, I like when everybody is miserable when they leave.
Yes, Your Honor.
But she had $7,000 worth of expenses as a result of this wedding. And I actually think that it's fair that you each pay half of that. So I'm issuing an order for $3,500 for the plaintiff. She's going to return all of your papers and documents that she has. This case is now over.
This court is adjourned.
The mom made all these threats and harassments towards me, and that's exactly why I left the wedding.
He's not man enough to be my daughter's husband.
This is a woman that I was going to spend the rest of my life with, and she let her mom ruin the relationship.
I feel that God gave us a blessing in removing this piece of trash out of our lives.
I want to move on with my life, so as long as I can get out of my hair, I'd be happy with that.
There is someone better than for my daughter out there.
I tell you, that was very sad. Not legally sad. It was a socially sad case because I think he really legitimately cared for her. I mean, the letter that he wrote, and he clearly wrote it. I don't know why he would deny that he wrote it.
There's a little forensic testing out there of your own.
Yeah, you're right, a little forensic testing. I know that's particularly kosher, but it looked right. But it was a really kind letter.
Yeah.
He did, in fact, talk about the Mercedes. This was before he left. He said, I don't want there to be this fighting back and forth because evidently it was clear that this was not the first breakup that they had. And it was very sad, and she, I think, actually cared for him a great deal.
Yeah.
Mama.
Too many hands.
Mama got in the way. She was trying to be very protective of her daughter, who clearly has an issue or two. But she was clearly trying to be protective and...
Went a little overboard.
Listen, if I were a young guy and he's actually a year younger, I think than his ex-fiance. I would be worried about that lady being in my life on a permanent basis. Yeah. Okay, so you're crossing the street. He honked the horn at you. You flipped him off.
He gets out, and he starts to get loud.
That's when he pulled out about an 8-inch combat knife.
Dumb and Dumber.
Next day is when we really had an altercation.
Oh, so this is just an appetizer.
This is Judy Justice. Lucille Chacon is suing her neighbor, Seth Kaufman, for damage after Seth attacked her car.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Case 3105, Chacon versus Kaufman.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Ms. Chacon, you are here today because you believe that the defendant is responsible for damage that was done to your car.
Yes.
Your car that was being driven by your grandson.
Yes.
This is the grandson.
Yes.
They had some altercation, and one or both of them may have gotten a little bit injured during the course of the altercation. But what took the most of a beating was your automobile.
Yes.
Were you present during that incident?
Not while the incident was happening, but I did come out later on.
Well, I'm not interested in what happened later on, because the defendant's position is that it was your grandson that precipitated this whole problem, and he was merely reacting to what your grandson had done. So since you were not a witness to any of this, I'm going to have you change places with your grandson.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Tell me your name.
My name is James Abeda.
James.
Yes.
How old are you, James?
I'm 19 years old.
What do you do?
I'm a plumber.
Your first name.
Seth,
How old are you?
I'm 22 years old.
What do you do?
I'm a cook
Where?
at a senior living in Oceanside.
Both working. Hallelujah moment. A 19 and a 22-year-old who were actually employed. Congratulations.
Thank you.
How do you know him?
I didn't know him until this altercation happened, and then I found out he was my neighbor.
Okay. This incident happened on...
I think it was September 15th.
So you live next door to each other?
I believe he lives in the apartment next to mine, yes.
How long have you lived in your apartment?
About 6 years, but I haven't always stayed with my grandmother, and that's where she stays, and I stay with her currently.
Could you speak a little slower and try to keep the hair out of your eyes when you're talking to me?
Yes.
Thank you. On September 15th, where were you living?
With my grandmother in Torrance.
And is that where you live as well?
Yes, it is.
Prior to September 15th, you didn't know each other.
I didn't.
Not at all.
Okay. So why don't you start out by telling me what happened on September 15th, starting out with the time?
My first time interacting with him, I was crossing the street to go to work with channel locks, boots, and other...
With what?
With like channel locks, pliers for work. I had those in my hand, along with boots and other things that I needed. And as I was almost gonna finish crossing the street, he started to honk, and I flipped him off because...
Okay, so he was driving.
Yes.
So you were crossing the street.
Yes.
He was driving. Were you walking slowly? Just a second, Seth. So he was walking slowly.
Very, very slowly.
How very, very
Like
slowly?
at
Just
the-
listen to me. Listen, what I want you to do is, who is this?
Oh, that's my girlfriend.
This is your girlfriend. I want you to stand between your girlfriend and the desk. Right here. Right there. Now I want you to walk in front of your bench and show me how fast he was walking.
Probably about this, like...
No, that's
Like a
not true.
snail's pace.
Yeah, that's not true. Now go back, and I want you to rethink this again, Seth. I want you to rethink it. Do you understand?
Yes.
You know how old I am? Nobody crosses the street like that, sir, unless they're looking to irritate you. And you hadn't even had any contact with him before that, so he wasn't walking backwards. Now show me how he was walking.
Probably about...
But that's okay. That's better. Now go back. Okay. Did he have the right of way? Is not an answer.
He did not.
All pedestrians have the right of way, sir.
It wasn't on a crossing guard.
So he was crossing in the middle of the street?
Yes, between the median.
Explain that to me.
There's a median between the street on Artesia, and it was like walking off of there. No like crosswalk or anything.
What time was this?
About It was in the morning, I think about 10 a.m.
Okay, so you're crossing the street, wasn't fast enough for him. He honked the horn at you. You flipped him off.
Yes.
Okay, let's go from there.
And then when I flipped him off, he got very mad, and he
Just tell me what he did. Don't tell me he got mad. Mad is his state of mind. Just
sorry.
tell me what he did. You
Okay.
flipped him off. Did you say anything?
No, I didn't at that point. He was in his car with the windows up.
Okay, was he alone?
He was with his girlfriend at the time.
That would be you.
Yes.
Do me a favor, please. Kevin,
Yes.
take her outside.
This way.
Okay, so he's with his girlfriend. You flipped him off now.
So he parks his car in the middle of the street.
He stops in the middle of the street.
Yes, and he gets out, and he starts to get loud. He's like you need to learn some respect, and
Is that what he said to you? You have to learn some respect?
yes, he said like something along the lines of I'm gonna teach you some respect, or you need to learn some respect, because I had flipped him off, and
Just a minute. So far, Seth, listen to me. You're driving your car with your girlfriend. He's walking very slowly. You honk your horn at him. He turns around. He flips you off. You stop the car. Is that correct?
Yeah. But
Not yeah. Not yeah. That's a yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am is even better.
Lucille Chacon claims her neighbor, Seth Kaufman, damaged her car during a fight with her grandson, James.
Okay, you stopped the car. Did you get out of the car?
Yes, because
Okay.
I was...
Just a second. You stopped the car. When you stopped the car in the middle of the street.
I pulled off to the side.
Was it in a parking lane?
Yes.
Listen, was it in a parking lane that you pulled over?
Yes.
Okay, so you pulled over into a parking lane and got out of your car.
Yes, and put on my emergency lights as well.
Well, what was the emergency? Think about that for a second. I want you to tell me what the emergency was. Is not an answer.
It's not an answer, you're right, ma'am. He was yelling obscenities at me, so I yelled some obscenities back.
No. He wasn't yelling obscenities to you, sir. He flipped you off.
He left out the part where he also yelled obscenities at me.
You mean after you honked the horn at him?
Yes.
What did he say?
Along the...
Not along the line. I want you to think about what he said. You know, I got a crystal ball here. I want you to think about what he said, and you can tell me. Nothing makes me blush.
He basically just said...
Not basic. Listen, basically is a filler word. What did he say?
Am I allowed to cuss, ma'am, here? Because it was curse words.
Are you allowed to say it? I said to you, I've heard everything.
Okay, he basically said I was a... Sorry,
Basically,
ma'am.
not basically. What did he say?
He said I was a... He said I was a bitch. He said I was a lot of things.
Now, just a second. Now, he said all these things to you while he was crossing the street and flipping you off.
Yes.
No, I'm not sure I buy that. My friend Seth, I think they may have said those things to you after you stopped and you started to argue with him. But all that didn't happen. You're driving in the driving lane. You honk your horn because you're a little impatient, which is sort of stupid, but you're only 22. And he flips you off. You pull off to the side. This all happened very fast.
Yeah.
Do you understand?
Yes.
Common sense. That's what the world is all about. You pull off and then you get out, and then you start back and forth with him.
No, Judge. Because he actually did start yelling obscenities when I had my windows down. He mentioned the fact that my windows were up. They were not. They were down because it was a hot day. So I could hear him yelling the obscenities because it was when he started flipping me off. It was...
Yeah, so why don't you just keep going? What difference does it make to you? If he calls you a couple of names, you're in the car with your girlfriend, what difference does it make? You keep moving.
Ego, I guess, ma'am.
Well, you can call it ego, you can call it the stupid gene, you can call it whatever you want, but you don't pull over in your car because somebody calls you a name after you act like a jerk and honk your horn at them as they're crossing the street and get out of your car. Okay, so now you're an idiot. Now let's move forward. So now you're yelling at each other. Next.
After that, he said we could fight.
No, look here.
Sorry, he said we could fight, so...
He said to you, you could fight?
Yeah, we both...
No, not we both. I want to know what he said to you. He's crossing the street. He's got things in his hands. According to you, he says to you, do you want to fight?
Yes. Yes,
And?
And I agreed.
And you said, sure, I want to fight.
Yeah. It's mutual combat.
Dumb and dumber. Go ahead. So he said, do you want to fight? You said, sure. This is all because you honked your horn because somebody wasn't walking fast enough in front of your car. You know how stupid that sounds?
Pretty stupid.
Yeah.
I'm aware it sounds stupid now coming out of my mouth.
Yeah.
Again, yeah.
Yeah. You know, what you got to say is, I'm a work in progress.
Yeah, I am.
Okay, keep going.
After he agreed to that...
He agreed to fight with you?
Yeah, he agreed. After that, when it was just me and him, my girlfriend was trying to tell me, like, just stop. We can both, like, just leave, which I should have listened to her. I understand that. Yes.
Was she still in the car?
No, she had come out with me to, like, try to dissolve the situation.
Okay, so, you know, she's out someplace now where she can't hear what's going on here, which is why I had her escorted from the courtroom. So she's going to tell me that when you pulled over, she said, do not get out of the car.
Yeah.
Don't get out of the car.
Yes.
That sounds like something I would say to my husband when somebody cuts him off and he pulls off and he goes running out of the car. I say, you're 90 years old. Who are you going to fight with? Go ahead. You know, but sometimes you don't get smarter. Sometimes the work in progress just gets stunted. Keep going.
After that, when we both agreed to
fight, and your girlfriend is telling you...
Trying to stop me from doing everything. That's when he pulled out about an 8-inch combat knife that was completely camouflaged. Wish I had a picture of it. But it was about that big enough to hurt me, basically. Like,
I don't care what size a knife is. A knife is a knife is a knife. It could be an inch long.
I agree.
A knife.
But yeah, it was a pretty big knife. And then after that, when we were just yelling at each other, I didn't leave after he pulled out the knife because I was kind of like, I can't believe you pulled out a knife on me. I was just shocked by it. A neighbor came over and started trying to break us up as well. And so did my father. My father came over because he just so happened to be outside and tried to stop us too. So that day it got dissolved, like the whole situation.
And?
The next day is when we really had an altercation.
Oh, so this is just an appetizer.
Yes.
Of what happened the next day, which was September 16th.
Yes.
So now your father is there, your girlfriend is there, you're separated.
Yes.
Then you saw each other again the next day.
Correct.
Take it from there. Now you saw each other the next day. What happened the next day? So far we don't have anything except, did you take out a knife on the 15th? That's an answer, yes or no?
No.
You did not?
No.
You did not have a knife with you?
Yes, I did.
You did. Where was it?
In my waistband.
So it was there?
Yes.
Okay. And visible?
Yes.
Okay. And what kind of a knife was it?
A camouflage knife with a...
How big?
About this big.
Okay. And who else was out there? He was there with his girlfriend, and his father came to sort of break things up, and it was broken up, and you got back into your car and drove off.
Yes.
So far, correct?
Yes.
Let's go to the next day.
So the next day, I was sitting in my car in front of the apartment that I live at.
You mean your grandmother's car?
Yes. And I noticed that he was like on the median that he was talking about on Artesia. He was already crossed on that side, and he was with his girlfriend. And he had noticed that I was sitting in my car, and he had already had his knife out, and he came up to me, and he tried stabbing me. He stuck his knife in the car, already yelling before I could even acknowledge his existence. He came up to me yelling, upset, and he.
What was he yelling?
He was like, "What's up?" He was like, "What's up? What happened yesterday? Like, what about yesterday? You called me. What about now?" Because he had a knife now, and I guess the day before he felt like he didn't. So he came up to me with a knife and immediately stuck it in the window, tried poking me, and as I tried to get out, he kicked the door about 5 times while I was trying to get out, crushing me and also shutting the door as I'm trying to get out. And by the time I got out...
What were you trying to get out for?
To not get stabbed, because I couldn't pull off because he was on the left side of my car, and that's the side I needed to go onto the road, so I couldn't drive off.
Unless you ran him over.
Yeah, and I didn't want to kill him.
He had a knife. He was stabbing you.
Yeah.
You could have killed him.
Lucille Chacon and her grandson, James, are accusing their neighbor, Seth Kaufman, of damaging her car during a fight with James.
Okay, keep going.
So at that point, I got out and I followed him.
Okay, just a second. So then you were able to get out of your car because he walked away.
He didn't walk away.
Well, then, because you say you were following him, which means that you were behind him, which means he was walking away.
No, he was facing me and I was facing him, and I was kind of like walking him back around my car, because I was trying to go to my gate and get inside instead of driving off.
Well, why didn't you drive off? Now he's away from the car. Why didn't you just drive off?
I just didn't want to get stabbed. I wasn't sure what to do. It all happened very fast.
So you didn't want to get stabbed, so you got out of your car?
Yeah, and I was trying
Is
to go
that pretty
inside.
stupid, right?
Yeah, well, I was trying to avoid hitting him with the car.
Nah. Go.
He was parked in the fire lane, and there was no cars in front of him. He could have pulled off if he...
They're not coulda, woulda, shoulda. Just tell me what happened.
I was walking across the street. Me and my girlfriend were actually having a little bit of a spat.
My girlfriend and I.
Oh, my girlfriend and I, you're right. We're having a little bit of a spat. She was leaving. I was going across the street to go, like, talk to her, you know, like, settle things down.
So you were having a fight with your girlfriend?
Yeah, little altercation.
What were you having a fight about?
I don't even remember. Something small and stupid, probably. And then while I was walking across the street, I heard James from his car, who put down his window, start yelling at me. Again, more obscenities. You're a bitch, you're this, you're that. So I thought he wanted to start stuff again, and it seemed like he did. So I walked up, I started talking to him, like, do you want to fight again? The exact same thing I said the day before, and the exact same thing happened. He pulled out a knife that he had in his waistband, and yeah, we just kept yelling at each other back and forth. My girlfriend, again, tried to get in between us and stop everything that was going on.
Okay, so what you're saying to me that he instigated what happened on the 16th of September by shouting at you when you were crossing the street to talk to your girlfriend.
Exactly.
And then you came back to the car to confront him as to why he's calling you names again.
Exactly.
And then from inside his car, he took out a knife?
The exact same knife, yes.
The exact same knife?
Yes.
And what did you have?
Nothing.
Now, you knew he had a knife from the day before.
Yes, I did.
So why would you go over to his car unless you yourself had some sort of something to protect yourself with?
I didn't really care about protecting myself. I was just more angry than anything. And that does sound stupid, but it's the truth. I was just really upset with the fact that we could have had mutual combat the day before, which we both are adults, we agreed to. Could have done that, but he wanted to pull out a weapon when there was...
This all started because he wasn't walking fast enough across the street.
Yes, this all started because he wasn't walking fast enough across the street, yes.
Mm-hmm. How did Mrs. Chacon's car get damaged?
When I was trying to defend myself from him, like I said, he had a pretty big knife. He says that he was following me.
No. I asked you a question. He did not damage his own car.
He did not.
You damaged his car. How did you damage his car, and with what? What?
I guess my body when I was trying to defend myself.
Well,
I didn't even realize it happened until it happened.
Yeah, but I'm going to see pictures of it, I assume. Do you have photographs? I assume I'm going to see pictures of the damage to the car.
I do not have photos of the car.
No, they do.
Oh, yeah.
So as far as you're concerned, you don't know exactly how their car got damaged?
No, not exactly.
Did you break a window?
That's what they told me I did.
No. You were there.
I was there. I don't remember doing that, though. I don't.
Did you break a windshield?
I believe it was the back, not window, but the little tiny part that's connected to your back window in the back of your car? One of those tiny ones. Not the window, but the little glass part over.
A little glass part. That's usually called a window.
Yeah.
What about holes in the car?
Holes?
Holes. Would there be any pictures of holes in the car?
I don't think so.
No. Okay. And would there be any marks where there was any kicking to the car?
There shouldn't have been. No, ma'am.
You don't remember kicking the car?
No, I don't.
Do you remember what kind of car it was?
BMW.
Okay. Now, let's go back. Now he's with the girlfriend. Pick it up.
So he's...
September 16th. You're in your car, sitting in the fire lane. Did you hear what he just told me?
Yes.
Is that accurate?
No, it's not. He damaged my car when I had gotten out of it. We went to the back, and that's where I had to go to my gate and
Go to your what?
To my gate inside of my apartment. And his girlfriend was screaming to just stop everything because the day before it was something traumatic, I'm sure, for her as well already. And it was the same, like calling each other that, and so we were just standing there across from each other on the sidewalk, and then he backed, because he's close to my car, so he kind of backhands it, and he does that to the trunk, and his hand goes through the glass, so it cuts him, and the back of the car has a hole in it.
Can I see photographs of the damage? Oh, well, that would be what we call like a 2-year-old. That would be called a window. What I want you to do is, I see the broken window. What I want you to do, James, is Kevin is going to give you a pen, something that will show up on this, and I want you to make a circle as to where you allege there's damage to your car, your grandmother's car, other than the window.
I believe there was one more picture in the stack that showed the door that he kicked.
Well, I'd like to see it. Okay. What's the damage here? To where the
like a scratch, like a line across.
And what was that made with?
I think with a knife.
Okay, good. Now, Kevin, would you go and bring in Mr. Kaufman's girlfriend? What is her name?
Kyla.
He attempted to slash her with a knife.
Correct.
No.
You were taken into police custody.
They tried to charge me with assault with a deadly weapon.
Was this the first time you ever spent time in jail? Of course not. It's clear to me that your grandson has some growing up to do.
This is Judy Justice. Previously on Judy Justice.
Ms. Khan, you are here today because you believe that the defendant is responsible for damage that was done to your car that was being driven by your grandson.
Yes.
My first time interacting with him, as I was almost gonna finish crossing the street, he started to honk, and I flipped him off.
And?
The next day is when we really had an altercation.
I was sitting in my car. He came up to me with a knife and immediately stuck it in the window, tried poking me. He kicked the door about 5 times while I was trying to get out.
How did Mrs. Chacon's car get damaged? So as far as you're concerned, you don't know exactly how their car got damaged?
No.
Now, Kevin, would you go and bring in Mr. Kaufman's girlfriend? What is her name?
Kyla.
And now, the conclusion. Lucille Chacon is suing her neighbor, Seth Kaufman, for car damages resulting from a fight with her grandson.
Now you can sit down. I want to talk to Kyla. You can sit down. Kyla, what's your last name?
Steed, S-T-E-E-D.
How long have you and Seth been a couple?
Going on 2 years now.
He has bad temper.
Sometimes.
Sometimes. We're going to go back because you were driving in the car with him.
Yes.
Plaintiff's grandson was crossing the street. Where were you going?
I don't really remember.
Think.
Probably to the store, or like to get something to eat.
It's 10 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You live together?
No. Well, yes.
Just a second. That's either a yes?
Yes.
Or a no, or a sometimes. It's never a maybe.
It's a yes.
Where do you live together?
I live in his car.
You live in his car?
Yes.
And where does he live?
He lives with his mom.
How long have you been living in his car?
A good minute. I'm not sure.
A month, a week, 6 months?
I don't know. Can't think of the time.
Do you ever go to his mom's house?
Sometimes.
You ever stay over at his mom's house?
Sometimes.
Okay. So I want you to tell me what happened on September 15th when the plaintiff crossed the street.
I don't really remember. Yeah, I can't really remember.
Where do
how
you
it
come
started.
from? Where do you live now? In what county, city?
Oceanside.
California.
Yes.
How old are you?
22.
So I'm going to try to refresh your recollection so that we can start.
Okay.
Because not remembering doesn't work for me.
Okay.
This young man was crossing the street. You're driving with your boyfriend in his car where you sometimes live. You're a passenger, he's a driver. Okay. He's crossing the street. Your boyfriend honks the horn. He flips him off.
Okay.
Your boyfriend pulls over into a parking lane, puts on his hazards, according to him. What do you say to your boyfriend?
I think I just follow him and...
Followed him where?
To go get back in the car, basically.
That's what you told him. So far, so good. Get back into the car, let it go. When he pulled the car over, did you tell him to let it go and just go?
I think so.
Think.
I just remember, I don't remember.
Okay. You've been with him 2 years, correct?
Yes.
And the place where he lives, his father also lives. Is that right?
Yes.
What's his father like?
He's a pretty nice guy.
Did you ever see Seth with a knife?
No.
Does he have one?
Not that I know of.
Does he have any weapon
Not that
that you ever saw?
No.
What about his father?
His father have a weapon?
Ever see?
Not that I know of.
Now I want you to go back to back in your memory, to the next day. This is the day after this incident happened in the street. And ultimately, his father was there. Between you and his father, you got him to separate, and you all went on your merry way.
Yes.
On the 15th. Now I want you to think back to the 16th, which is the day after.
Okay.
You and your boyfriend were outside, and you were having an argument.
Yes.
And you walked away from him, and you went to the median in the street.
Yes.
Okay. What was the argument about?
I did something to upset him.
What did you do?
I was talking to another guy.
That he saw, or that was on a text?
It was on a text.
Okay. And so he was upset?
Yes.
Where had you been right before you got outside?
If I'm not mistaken, I think that's when we were at his dad's house, inside his dad's house.
So you were at Dad's house?
And if not, it was either in his dad's house or outside in the car.
Okay. Was he yelling at you? What was he saying to you? I mean, I could understand him being pretty upset. I mean, after all, he let you live in his car.
Remember.
Right? And now he sees you talking on phone. What he said is he sees you talking on the phone to texting, probably, another guy.
Yes.
And he's angry.
Yes.
And he has a little bit of a temper that you've seen occasionally. I would say that that's probably true, right? You saw it the day before. So you started to walk away.
Yes.
And did he follow you?
Yes, he did.
Followed you.
Yes.
And what was he saying as he followed you?
I don't remember. I think he was trying to get me to leave.
What do you mean, you were already leaving?
Yeah. Or I really don't remember. I'm pretty sure he was trying to get me to, like, not be around him anymore.
So what was he saying to you? And was he saying it in a loud way or in a quiet way?
Like medium, like not so loud, but like still loud.
So he's following you into the median, and then you're there. So you actually saw everything that happened. Where was the plaintiff's car?
I think it was across the street.
Yes. And so you saw his plaintiff's car. Now he's coming out after you, and he is angry.
Yes.
Go ahead. I want you to tell me next about what happened in the confrontation between Seth and James and the car.
Okay.
Do you understand?
Yes.
Don't say I don't remember.
Okay.
Let's go.
I really can't remember.
Would you have remembered better if he was sitting in the courtroom and you heard him testify? Would
Yes.
you have remembered better?
Yes.
That's why you weren't here.
Lucille Chacon claims her neighbor, Seth Kaufman, owes for car damages after fighting with her grandson, James.
Now tell me what happened.
I don't remember. I remember...
You do understand, Seth. You do understand, Seth, that because she can't remember, you're going to pay for the damage to the car. You do understand that.
I do not understand.
Oh, well, I'm telling you, if she is so intimidated by you that she can't tell me...
Oh, you think it's
that
him?
she can't tell me what happened on September 16th. That she can't tell me what happened on September 16th, and she's your witness, you're going to pay for the damage to the car. Do you understand? I want you to be clear about that. Kyla, if you can't remember, he's going to pay for the damage to the car.
Okay.
You understand?
I understand.
Now, do you have any memory of what happened on September 16th other than the fact that he was angry that you were texting with another guy?
I remember crossing the street, and then next thing I know is I hear yelling. So I turn around, and they're going at each other.
What does that mean? Tell me.
They're yelling at each other.
Just yelling?
Just yelling.
Okay, and so now you have to watch them. They're yelling at each other.
I get in between them.
Because they're yelling at each other. You walked over to where they were.
Yes.
And physically put your body in between them.
Yes.
Okay. Was James in his car or out of his car?
I think he started off in his car. And
that's correct.
I don't remember how it started, but he had somehow tried to get out. I guess my boyfriend kicked the door, and then that's when he grabbed it. Like, he had got out eventually, and then he had a knife in his hand. James did.
Yes.
And that's when I kind of backed up, but I was still trying to tell Seth to like, let's just go and leave it alone.
Smart.
And after that, it kind of just ended. The cops had came.
Okay, good. Now you can change places with each other. Okay. Now I'll see an estimate for the damage. Now they have to put a window in the car and take out a dent. What happened when the police came, James?
When the police showed up, they arrested both of us and separated us almost immediately. And I'm not sure where they put him, but they put me in the back of a cop car.
And then what happened?
And then I was taken to jail. And they tried to charge me with assault with a deadly weapon, but they realized soon that I was a victim and they dropped all charges.
Don't tell me what they realized. You were arrested, and at the time of your arrest, you had the knife with you.
It was in the grass somewhere.
You had thrown it in the grass?
Yes.
Okay, so at the time, I love this job. So at the time of your arrest, despite the fact that he told them that you had a knife, you disposed of the knife. So at the time that the police came, you had no knife.
Yes.
Great, love this. Okay, did you have the window? Now you can sit down. Well, just don't sit down. You can stand next to your grandmother. He did not cause $4,000 of damage to your car, madam. You had to have the dent taken out, maybe 2, and you had to replace a window, which is a big deal. Do you know how much that was?
I haven't replaced it. I can't afford it. The window's still broken. The dents are still in the car. And there's also a scratch right around the car. And
I don't know how that happened.
There's more than 2 dents. There's about 4 or 5 dents in the door.
Yeah, I wouldn't let him drive the car anymore. Do you let him drive the car anymore?
He has to get to work, and I can't always take him.
So the answer is you still let him drive the car?
Yes.
So you drive the car and you leave it outside with a broken window?
Well, we have the window covered so
With what?
so the rain doesn't get in there. And we're using my car right now. We very seldom use the BMW now. It's parked in the back.
Sarah, could you please find there the cost of fixing the window, if you can?
Sure.
So you disposed of the weapon before you were taken into police custody. Were you ultimately let go?
Yes, after 3 days.
So you spent 3 days in jail?
Yeah.
Did you see a lawyer?
I don't believe I did.
You had to have been arraigned.
It was a public defender.
Well, that's a lawyer.
I wasn't quite sure.
That the person was a lawyer?
Or a public defender. I don't know the difference, to be honest.
Public defender is a lawyer. Who does it cheaper. But I want a lawyer. I don't have a lawyer. I have a legal aid.
I see for a tint glass, but it doesn't break out besides taxable parts and labor, but it doesn't break out for...
See if you can look up replacing a BMW small window, Sarah.
Okay.
See if you can find that, because that's what he's going to do.
Actually, I think there's a line item here, rear door stationary vent glass, remove, replace, $133 at the very bottom, the last line item, if you want to just take a look. And then there is an additional tint glass. Here, I'll just circle it. I circled it for an additional $75.
Your Honor, may I speak? He also put a dent in the back of in the trunk with his knife.
He didn't have a knife.
He did have
no.
a knife.
Maybe. But so far I have no proof that he had a knife. I know he had a knife.
Okay.
I know he had a knife that he was smart enough to dispose of before he was arrested. Do you understand?
I understand.
Very good.
Lucille Chacon claims the defendant, Seth Kaufman, refuses to pay for car damages after starting a fight with her grandson, James.
What I'm telling you is he was smart enough to dispose of his knife before he was arrested. Do you understand? If the police had found the knife on him, probably would have been a whole different story. Was this the first time you ever spent time in jail?
No.
Of course not. Immediately prior to this incident, when had you been in jail before?
About a week.
For what?
Domestic violence.
Against whom?
My ex-girlfriend.
Great. What happened with that case?
She attacked me, so I smacked her once, and then some neighbors saw and called the cops.
Now, that was about a week before. Immediately prior to that,
That was it, the domestic violence and then the assault with a deadly weapon.
2 things.
Yes.
It's the only time that you've been arrested.
Yes.
Really? What about you?
Well, I didn't get arrested that day.
No. Prior to September 16th, when had you been arrested immediately before?
Never.
Never.
I had been detained before. But
You've been what?
Detained, where they'd sit you on the curb and stuff, but never arrested. Me and my girlfriend were having a spat outside. We got detained because the neighbor said we were too loud, but we weren't arrested. We were just talked to, told to quiet down, and then we all went on our way.
Okay, so I'm going to tell you this, Ms. Chacon. You got to stop thinking that he's an innocent victim. Do you understand?
Yes.
He's 19 years old, right?
Yes.
How old are you?
74.
Ever been arrested?
No.
I'm 81. Never been arrested. 26. Never been arrested. I don't even have to go on this side. You got the gist of what I'm saying to you. He's 19. He was arrested twice within 1 week. Doesn't that tell you something? Either he's
several times, yes.
We talked about what?
About him staying out of trouble and just concentrating on working, which is what he's doing now.
Okay.
And he did have the money to buy that car. He had worked a whole year putting money away for the down payment on the BMW.
And?
So he's very responsible. And also on the police report, it was mentioned that they believe he hit the window with the back of the knife, and that's how he cut his hand.
Oh, I'd like to see the police report, please, before I make a decision about how much your grandson is going to contribute to fixing the car. Because both of these characters acted inappropriately. You would agree with that, Ms. Chacon, wouldn't you?
Yes.
Perfect. So that they should both bear the responsibility. One, it's really Dumb and Dumber. Also, the same police officer who arrested you this time arrested you in the domestic violence case?
Yes.
Let's read on. How come neither one of you told me? Stand up. Over there. Did you tell the police that he tried to stab her with a knife?
Yes, I did.
How come in all this conversation that we had today so far, we've been at this for 40 minutes, I never heard from you that he tried to slash her with a knife?
I didn't want to talk out of turn, and I was waiting for my turn to talk.
You idiot.
There was a few things
You're idiot.
left out.
So far, I have to tell you what you've told me about yourself, that you got out of your car because someone disrespected you, right? That you went over to him because, whatever, because you had a big fight with your girlfriend about something else. That you told me. The most important thing that's in this police report is your claim that everybody else denies, that he attempted to slash her with a knife.
Correct.
That you forgot to tell me.
Yes. Okay. Lest I forget it, didn't have the time to.
Okay, I'm finished with this case. I don't have to read it anymore. It's clear to me that cross your hands.
Sorry.
It's clear to me that your grandson has some growing up to do. First, you should get him take the hair out of his eyes. He'd be more successful. He could see where he's going. Second thing is, he's going to pay for half the damage to your car. And at most, the damage to your car is $1,000. So he's going to pay $500, because all I'm charging them is $500. Do you understand?
Yes.
We're done. Thank you very much. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $500.
This court is adjourned.
Goodbye.
I'm happy with the judge's decision. I think that James was equally, if not more, responsible for what happened that day than I was, so I'm glad that she made him at least pay for half of it.
I respect that. I respect her decision.
I should have been better about my anger. I don't need to lose my temper like that.
I mean, as the judge said, I could have murdered him. Those are her words.
I think that I was acting a little bit stupid those 2 days. The next day, I thought about it a lot. Like, I didn't need to do any of this.
I was simply going to work. I don't instigate fights.
People carry guns. A lot of people carry a lot of other illegal things that they can just use on you at any time, so.
My words were, I don't want to fight you, and when I showed him my waistband with the knife, he didn't want to fight anymore either.
Basically, just gotta check my ego.
Just keep doing what I want to do.
This whole thing could have been avoided if 2 young men just checked their egos a little bit. Got way out of hand for literally no reason. No reason. Walking a little too slow to cross the street.
I think that it's a very deep pathology. Those 3 young people is a very sad pathology. Not sure what her issues are, but the 19-year-old looks like butter could melt in his mouth until he opens his mouth. And he's clearly got his grandmother sort of a little bamboozled.
What started off as two young employed people thought it was going well.
It went south fast.
Yeah, yeah. Looks like a job won't save everybody, but...
You know, better be unemployed and a nice person than employed and going down a very negative path.
Yeah.
All three of them.
Yeah.
All three of them. Very sad.
Great.
He started sending me pictures of himself, asking me to send pictures of myself to him.
And what did you say?
I didn't say anything.
Your response to him is, laugh out loud, I'm in bed. He says to you, really, that's hot. Did you try your new toy? I assume that that's not an erector set.
This is Judy Justice. Diane Harris is suing her ex-boyfriend, Scott Corey, for breach of contract and harassment.
All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Hello, Judge. Case 3104, Harris versus Corey.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Miss Harris, in what state do you live?
Las Vegas, Nevada.
How old are you?
33.
Have kids?
Yes, ma'am. A 2-year-old and a 7-year-old.
And you're a single mom?
Yes, ma'am.
How do you know the defendant?
I met him in Arizona through my father.
Your father lives in Arizona?
Yes, ma'am.
So you were visiting him when? When you first met the defendant?
When I first met him in June of 2023, sorry.
You met him at your father's house? I want you to tell me how you met.
I did. I met him at my father's house. The first conversation that we had.
Just a second. How do you know her father?
Her father was my neighbor, and that's how I met him, and we became friends really quickly. He was a nice gentleman.
Are you still neighbors?
No, I've moved since.
Where did you move to?
Back to my home state, Minnesota.
When did you move to Minnesota?
That would have been the end of October of 2023.
Okay, so you met him through your father in June of 2023.
Yes.
And according to what I read, you became friends.
Yes.
That fair?
No, that is not true.
Okay. You tell me what happened when you met at her father's house.
We met in August of 2023, the beginning, and we kind of fell in love.
That sound right?
No.
August?
No, it doesn't sound right.
Okay.
It was a month or two before that.
Well, tell me about it. You meant a month or two before that at your father's house. You were visiting your father.
Yes, in June.
What did you do in Las Vegas?
I'm an armed security guard.
And you live alone with your 2 kids?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. How did you get to Arizona?
I drove.
Whose car?
At the time, it was a rental car, so I drive through Lyft, and they have an app where you can actually get a rental car through their services. So that was the vehicle I was using.
So you didn't have a car of your own?
No.
So you met him in June. And what happened?
We became friends. I started taking trips out to Arizona to see him.
Okay, so that became more than just friends. You don't travel with 2 little children.
Well,
to visit somebody who was just your friend.
So,
just a second.
Okay, sorry.
It was just your friend.
Yes.
Okay. Where did you stay when you went to Arizona to visit him?
My father's or hotel.
Never stayed with him?
No. Well, correction, I did one time.
In what month did you stay with him?
October.
I'm asking
you. September or October, the beginning and the ending of September and October.
For how long?
Just for one night.
What you're suing Mr. Corey for is for $10,000 for breaching a contract to purchase a car for you and damages for you having to use other means of transportation. Now, that's what the case is all about. Because at some point, he went with you to a car dealership in what month?
September of 2023.
Beginning, middle, or end?
Beginning. September 6th, to be exact.
Now, it was also the month of September when you stayed over at his house.
Yes.
And when you went to the dealership on September 5th, you did, in fact, go with him.
Yes.
For what purpose?
To get me a vehicle.
Now, were you going to buy a vehicle? Did you have money to buy a vehicle on your own?
I did. I had a down payment for a vehicle. The whole purpose of him trying to help me is so that I could try to get something lower in a down payment or lower in cost for a vehicle. So he decided to help me on that.
Up until September 5th, had you ever been intimate with the defendant?
No, ma'am.
What about after you spent the night at his house?
No.
No.
No, ma'am.
Where did you sleep?
On the couch.
And he?
Slept on his bed.
Prior to September, had he made any romantic overtures to you?
Yes, ma'am, a few times.
Okay. Tell me what they were.
Text messages, videos of sexual gestures of himself.
No.
Prior to September?
Yes.
So you knew he had more than just a friendly interest in you?
Not quite.
Well, that's ridiculous. You have 2 children. You know when a man is sending you suggestive text messages and sexual videos that he's more interested in you other than as the daughter of his neighbor.
True.
Okay, you're a smart cookie. You don't have to be a genius to figure that out. So you know he had a romantic interest in you.
Yes.
Did you and the defendant ever discuss you relocating from Las Vegas to Arizona?
No, ma'am.
Okay.
No.
Mr. Corey, you indicate that that is the case, that the plaintiff and you had discussed her relocating to be with you in Arizona.
That is correct, yes.
Do you have any text messages or other messages that would reflect that?
No, I do not. I had changed.
Don't tell me you changed your phone. Everybody who comes here changes the phone. They lost their phone. The dog ate their phone. The kids flushed the phone. Whatever it is. The answer is you don't have it.
Correct.
All right.
Diane Harris claims her ex-boyfriend, Scott Corey, broke their car agreement and harassed her.
Mr. Corey, you indicate that the plaintiff and you had discussed her relocating to be with you in Arizona.
Excuse me, Your Honor. We did have a conversation about me actually joining the corrections for the state of Arizona. So that was a conversation we had, but we never had a conversation stating that I was going to just pick up and move from Las Vegas to Arizona.
But you did discuss with him the fact that you were thinking about applying for a job in Arizona.
Yes, ma'am.
In security.
Yes, ma'am.
When was that conversation? What month?
That was in September.
Before the car was purchased?
Yes.
Then you go to the dealership, and it seems his credit is better than yours, you know, the usual whole story. He ends up purchasing the car in his name, and he is on the loan that you took out for the car, and you put down the down payment.
Yes.
Okay. How much of a down payment did you put down?
$1,000.
And how much was the car?
A little over $28,000.
Okay, so far your investment in the car is $1,000.
Plus one car payment also that I have paid on the vehicle.
Okay, and when was that one car payment?
That was in November.
And how much was that car payment?
$400. It was just $400 flat for me.
Yeah. You got the car September 5th or 6th?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you drive the car the whole month of September?
Yes.
What about the month of October? Did you drive the car?
Yes.
Did you drive the car in November?
Yes.
Did you drive the car in December?
Yes.
Until when in December?
Up until a week ago, ma'am.
So you had the car up until a week ago?
Yeah.
So you had the car September, October, November, and December, and part of January. And your total investment was $1,400. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, that's what I'm asking you. So let's do the math.
Ma'am, there is a reason, if I can just say, there's a reason why that's all I put down. Since the loan is in his name, he had to actually add me to the account for me to make these payments. I didn't trust sending him the cash. So I had him add me on the account so that I can make payments from my bank account. Mm-hmm. He ended up taking me off of the account to where I couldn't make any payments on the vehicle. So that's why.
Okay. If I believed your whole story, that you were just friends and that there was no intimacy between you, if I believe that, which I could believe, but there's no question in my mind that you knew that his interest in you was more than just friendly. Now you have a $30,000 car, which he's stuck with. You've told him that, well, I'm thinking about coming to Arizona, applying for a job there. He is clearly thinking more that this friendship is going to proceed more, and you are letting him go through the process of thinking that. There's no question in my mind about that. There's no question in my mind about that. Listen, he says that the relationship was more than you are expressing to me. Would that be a fair statement, sir?
Yes, ma'am. It was never more, but okay.
Okay, well, that's what he's saying. Whether it was or whether it wasn't, it's clearly something that he wanted and that you knew that he wanted, and he had a $30,000 obligation. You ended up not moving to Arizona, and after you got the car in September, you stayed with him one night at his house one night in September. What happened in October?
I haven't seen him since. That
Why?
was the last time that I saw
Why?
him. The arguments that we've been getting into?
No. What arguments? So in September, you get the car. So there were no arguments. When did you start to have arguments?
Like right after, even a little bit before. We had arguments before. He has a drinking problem, so we would get in random arguments, random fights and stuff like that.
He's got a drinking problem and he got into arguments before. You still let him buy a car.
I didn't know it was that bad.
Why did you stop after you got the car communicating with him?
Because he wanted more from me. He was asking more of me and wanting me to do things that I wasn't comfortable doing.
Like what?
Like sexual actions that he wanted to do with me. And
yeah, okay. So I've sort of created a scenario which he doesn't even have to participate in. You drove a car September, October, November, December, and January, 5 months, and in total you paid $1,400 or $280 a month for the privilege of driving a $30,000 car. That's pretty reasonable, isn't it? Can't rent a car for $280 a month. You go to work?
Yes, ma'am.
And you get to work how? Because it's part of your damages.
I was getting to work with the vehicle.
Not this car. How are you getting to work prior to this car? You worked as security. How are you getting to
the
work?
rental car through the Lyft services, as I told you.
A rental?
Yes.
What kind of car?
It's whatever they give you. Sometimes you got to trade it in, so it's whatever they give you.
Great. And you pay for that by the day, by the week, by the month? How do you pay for it?
It's weekly.
How much do you pay weekly for it?
$680 a week.
$680 a week?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, there's no question then for these 5 months, you made out like a bandit because you only paid for the total time that you had the car $280 a month, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And then he said, well, this isn't working out the way I thought it was. See, you don't have to say much. This isn't working out the way I thought it was. This is not a romance, right? Which is why I put my name on this loan to begin with. Is that a fair statement?
That's not what it was supposed to be. That's
What was it
not
supposed?
why he put his name on the
Tell
on the
me why
car.
you think he put his name on it.
He
Mr.
didn't even
Corey.
know me well enough to even want to have an intimate relationship with me.
Tell
nor
me
my
why
kids.
you think. Tell me why you think then he went with you and signed the loan. Tell me why you think he did that.
I think he did that because he was under the influence, first of all, because he's always drinking.
If that's true, if you think that he was under the influence of alcohol and therefore was not in a position to make a decision, that's easy for me. Then your case is dismissed for that reason because he couldn't make a contract with you to buy you a car if he didn't have the mental capacity to do that. You want to come up with a different reason?
It's just something that he always done.
You have no case, Miss Harris. You drove a car. You drove a car.
What about the harassment and all that stuff?
You have no case with regard to the car. You have no case with regard to the car. That's it. You paid $1,400. He's not obligated to buy you a car.
Okay, ma'am, but I wasn't able to make those payments on the vehicle.
Whether you were or whether you weren't, you didn't. You drove a car for 5 months. You paid $280. It is a fraction of what you were paying before to get to and from work. So you're really not out any money.
In December,
Go buy a new car. Listen to me. Clearly, there was a misunderstanding between the two of you to the extent of where this relationship was going.
But in December, he took me off the account, so I was only able to pay that 1 month.
I don't care. You're not out any money.
Diane Harris is accusing her ex-boyfriend, Scott Corey, of refusing to pay for the car he purchased for her. She also claims Scott harassed her with inappropriate text messages.
Now, the other part of your lawsuit is for harassment. So now you're going to tell me when the harassment started and what it is.
The harassment started late September, late in the month, probably like the 15th or the 16th.
Well, you said you stayed over at his house the end of September or the beginning of October. That's
No,
what
it was
you told
the
me.
beginning of September.
No.
That's when I got the car.
No, that's not what you told me. You told me you stayed at his house at the end of September. Would you find that spot for me? I may be mistaken. That is possible.
You said September or October, the beginning, the ending of September, October.
That's exactly what she said. The end of September or the beginning of October. You got the car September 5th and you stayed with him, according to you, one night at the end of September. That's what you testified to.
Okay, well, it was September 5th, the night that I stayed. I stayed at his house the day before we went to get the car.
Oh, well, then you made, just a second, then you made a mistake. You made a mistake. You didn't stay at his house. You stayed at his house the night before you went to get the car. Is that what you're telling me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, now you're going to tell me the harassment started, according to you now, on September the 15th. What did he do?
He started sending me pictures of himself, trying to interact in sexual stuff over the phone. He wanted me to show like my body parts. He sent me pictures of himself, asking me to send pictures of myself to him, which I have proof of.
Just a second, and what did you say?
I didn't say anything. I just said, no, I'm not into that. I'm going to bed. I got to put my kids to bed. So I just blew him off.
Okay, so you blew him off. What's next?
The videos and pictures of him. So he likes to find women on the internet and pay for them, and he'll send me videos and pictures of him with these other women. I also have these pictures and videos here.
Show me when you told him to stop sending you the videos. I'm assuming, for the purpose of this, I am assuming that he sent you videos that you didn't want to see. I'm assuming, for the purpose of this question, that from September 15th, he started to send you more sexually explicit things. So now I want you to show me what date you told him to stop. So it was ongoing from September 15th, but he would send you these things. Show me the please stop. I don't want to see the video. I want you to show me please stop. I don't want to have anything to do with those videos or this topic.
I just say no.
Just a second.
No, I don't want to. Okay.
No, just show me.
One second. I want to.
Shh. What are you showing me? I don't know what this is. I want you to show me.
There's screenshots.
No. I'm not interested in screenshots. I'm interested in when, in this, you said to him, please don't show that to me anymore. Please don't communicate with me with regard to this topic. Don't show me any screenshots. I'm not interested. Just show me when you told him to stop.
Here's the one that says, no, I'm not interested. I got to put my kids to bed. And then.
Just a second. Madam, I don't want to embarrass you, but you gave this to me. Evidently, there's some intimacy here that you're stringing him along, which is what I think, because he says to you some sex act that he wants to do with you, and your response to him is, laugh out loud, I'm in bed. And he says, really, that's hot. He says to you, really, that's hot. Did you try your new toy? I assume that that's not an erector set or gizmo. Did you try your new toy? And you respond to him, no, I got to put my kids to bed first. Not I got to put kids to bed. You said, no, I've got to put my kids to bed first. Don't you think that that's a lead on?
I don't think so.
You don't think so? Well,
no.
I'm sorry you don't think so, madam, but it is a lead on. Did he send you a sex toy?
No.
Did you buy it yourself?
No.
Well, just a minute, then why did you respond? Did you try your new toy? No, I got to put my kids to bed first. Your case is dismissed. You have no case. Goodbye. We're done.
This court is adjourned.
I am totally happy with her decision. This was nothing other than her trying to take advantage of me.
I really don't agree with it.
She kept asking for more and more and didn't really seem to care about myself and what's going on in my life.
I wasn't trying to string him along or anything like that.
The videos were my way of telling her I didn't want to be with her anymore. I sent them to her around that time in October. So
he just told me he was going to help me out and do something for me, and it turned out it being something other than that, me doing more than what I was expected for his help.
I'm not helping anybody out like that again.
He lived in a one-bedroom apartment, so I wasn't looking at him for any of his money.
This is as much social as it is legal. Mm-hmm. You know how crazed I get when men take advantage of women, empty out their bank account. Mm-hmm. You know, women need to nest and they get involved with people who are unsavory. I really feel the same way about women who, I believe, use their sexuality or promises of sexuality to extract certain things from a man with no intention of ever making the fantasy a reality in order to get something.
Especially something like a $30,000 asset.
Right. She drove that $30,000 asset for $280 a month, which was the cost of her down payment and the one payment she made. She testified that she spent to get to work $680 a week for a lift.
Yeah.
So she paid a fraction. So with all the money that you save over 5 months that you had been spending to get to and from work, you have more than enough for a down payment to get yourself a car. And that way you're not taking advantage of somebody who thought that this was a relationship that was going someplace. Clearly, there was a one-sided relationship.
And the harassment really had no grounds. I mean, I saw some of the text messages, and if it is truly harassment, there would have been more outrage at some of the things that he was sending.
That he
Don't
was
ever text me again, lose my number.
Right.
There was multiple possibilities, none of which came from the plaintiff.
Yeah,
So
nothing. No, it's just that I have to put my kids to bed before I do that.
Yeah.
He told me that he had a car available for me to purchase. I had to have it towed because it broke down.
You did vandalize the car, sir. When she stopped making payments on it?
Well,
What, do you have to think about that?
she's been driving it.
No, that's
The defendant's counterclaim is the balance on the car.
And lost wages.
I should charge myself for lost wages from having to endure this case.
This is Judy Justice. Tammy Joseph is suing car seller Jonathan Holmes for the return of a down payment, vandalism, toll fees, and lost wages.
All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Hello, Judge. Case 3124, Joseph versus Horn.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Miss Joseph, you purchased a used car from the defendant. You started to have some car trouble with it within the first week or so. You want your money back. And you bought this car from him in November.
November 21st.
Mr. Holmes wants the balance that you owe him on the car.
Yes, ma'am, that's correct.
What year car is it?
2004.
So it's a 10-year-old car.
20-year-old car.
A 20-year-old car. Did you see an ad for it?
No. He was an acquaintance, and I had wrecked my car, and he told me that he had a car available for me to purchase.
How was he an acquaintance of yours?
Just from my place of employment. He was a customer of my place of employment.
You had this 20-year-old BMW.
Yes, ma'am, that's correct.
When did you buy it?
About 5 years ago.
From whom?
A gentleman in town.
Did you know the gentleman that you
No,
bought
ma'am.
it from? How much did you pay for the car?
I paid $5,500 at the time.
And you sold her the car for $3,000.
That's correct.
And you gave him a $1,000 deposit.
Correct.
And agreed to pay the rest in installments.
Correct.
There was a purchase and sale.
Yes. I also paid the $1,000 plus I paid another $500 because that was the agreement. $500 until paid off.
$500 a what? A month.
Yes, correct. I paid him $1,000, and then 5 days later, I paid him that $500, and then the agreement was the $500 a month.
So far you paid $1,500 for the car. And when did you start to have trouble with it?
9 days after I bought it.
So you drove it for 9 days.
Yes.
And what happened on the 9th day?
I had driven it around town, and then I...
By the way, is there a bill of sale for this car?
We never made one.
Okay. Did you get the title?
No.
Did
because
you?
I wasn't supposed to receive the title until the car was paid off.
Did you have insurance on the car?
No.
Did you have insurance on the car?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
At the time she drove it, you had
No,
insurance?
at the time I sold it to her, but I took the insurance off. And she never gave me another $500. She only gave me $1,000, and then she gave me $200 towards that $500. So it's probably $1,200 total.
So at the time you were driving the car, you had no insurance?
Correct, but I wasn't driving it around.
I don't care if you were driving it to get your mail.
Right.
You were driving the car. You already told me that you drove the car in your complaint.
Right, I did drive
Around.
the car. I did drive it to the DMV to see if I could get it registered, what the costs were going to be to have it registered. But I never got it registered because I never got a smog. I couldn't get a smog because the damages that were on the vehicle.
Did you ever take the car to be smogged?
No. There was too much damages. There was so much that I had to do.
So the answer is you didn't take it to be smogged?
No, I did not.
When you purchased the car from the defendant, did it have an up-to-date registration?
No.
Is that right?
That's correct, ma'am.
How long was it since it had been registered?
I want to say 2-3 years.
Well, then you didn't have insurance on it if it wasn't registered.
No, well, I still had insurance.
Just be very careful. Just be very careful what you say to me. You understand?
Yes, ma'am.
If it wasn't registered for 3 years, it didn't have insurance.
Right.
Am I correct that he told me it had insurance, but that he took it off?
Yes, he said he did, but he took the insurance off. He sold it to her.
Okay, so that was not true. What do you have to think about that?
No, I'm just trying to figure out if my wife usually takes care of the insurance stuff, so I'm not sure if it was on there. I know we've had some vehicles on there that we weren't driving before previous.
Do you know what you just said? You want me to have read back what you just said?
I know what I said.
Sounds like a lot of gibberish. What you just said to me, it sounds like a lot of gibberish.
Well, I do off-road racing, so some of them I might not be registered, but I have insurance on just in case something happens.
Off-road racing? You went off-road racing in this 20-year-old BMW?
No, not in that one. I'm just saying previous vehicles I have, so.
I don't care about previous vehicles.
Gotcha.
We're not here about previous vehicles. We're here about this car.
Yes, ma'am.
So now both of you have this car with no insurance, and it hadn't been registered in 3 years, and you don't have a bill of sale.
That's correct.
And you've had the car in your possession from November 26th to December, December to January, January to almost 3 months.
I've been trying to give it back.
No, you haven't tried to give it back. You want to sell it back to him. There's a difference. Giving is giving. Selling it back and wanting your money back are two different things, right?
Correct.
Okay. I mean, we're going to get all the warts out, because when we get all the warts out, it's going to come down to a very simple question. Right now, both of you were driving around in 2023 in an unregistered, uninsured vehicle, right?
Yes.
Right?
I'm no longer driving it. I have not been driving it.
You have not been driving it?
No, I have not been driving it.
Where is the car currently?
At my house.
Has it always been in your house since you purchased it?
No.
Okay.
I had to move it because he flattened the tires in my driveway.
Just a second. So you moved it?
Yes.
You moved it where?
Around the corner to my friend's house.
So you moved it?
I did.
Unregistered?
Yes.
Unlicensed?
Yes.
And you want me to buy that, correct? We'll get into this business with him vandalizing the car. You did vandalize the car, sir, did you not, when she stopped making payments on it?
I wouldn't call it vandalized.
Just a second. You vandalized the car.
Tammy Joseph claims car seller Jonathan Holmes sold her a damaged vehicle and refuses to return the deposit. Jonathan is countersuing Tammy for the remaining car payments.
Now, did you touch the car?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
How did you touch the car?
Took the battery out of it.
That's vandalizing the car. And why do you think you can do that?
She hadn't paid me any payments. And
Did you tell her you could do it because it's your car?
I told her I still own the car due to the fact I still have the title, and she hasn't paid me any payments, so I want to make sure she wasn't going to.
So you could do it to the car because it was your car.
Correct. That's what I stated to her.
Quite a pair. I think they actually deserve each other. Okay, so you've had possession of the car for 3 months. According to you, you paid for half the car, right? When you purchased the car, it was 15 years old. Is that right?
About right, yes, ma'am.
You're familiar with cars?
Enough to do the basic stuff on them, yes.
Ms. Joseph said that the odometer on the car was turned back.
I did not know at the time. Me and her discussed that when she found that out, and she agreed with me that she knows. I didn't know that. I was not aware of that. I didn't do a Carfax.
I'm not following you. Are you following him? I'm
hardly.
When she had found that out, she had notified me of it. I told her I was unaware. I did not know it. She had to grab a Carfax to find it out, and I didn't grab a Carfax when I had purchased the vehicle originally.
Carfax would tell you that.
Yes, ma'am.
You have any proof?
Yes, ma'am.
Miss Joseph, pay attention to my question. You have any proof that the defendant turned back the odometer on the car?
Other than the Carfax report, no. I mean,
Well, do you have the Carfax report from the time he purchased the car?
Yes.
And how many miles was on the car when he purchased it? Not when you purchased it, when he purchased it. He didn't buy it new.
All right, can I look, because I don't remember. I know it said 176,000 when he purchased it. Right now it says 123,000.
Oh, can I see that?
Yes.
Oh, absolutely. Because you would agree, Mr. Holmes, you know, you're a smart man, that if you purchased it and there were 176,000 miles on the car.
Yes, ma'am.
And if when you sold it to her, there were 126,000 miles on the car, that would have been someone on your team turned back the mileage. That's common sense, sir. I'm not a wizard. I'm not a wizard.
Right. Yes, Your Honor, you're absolutely right.
You know, I married my first husband when I was 21, and I married my second husband when I was 16 on my marriage license. Somebody could do that math, right? In 2018, I see the mileage on the car was 111,000 miles, right?
Correct.
And when you bought it?
123. $3,000.
Well, that would be right.
Okay, before that, if you look a little farther back, it's $176,000.
Well, that means that he didn't turn it back. He bought the car in 2018. So I asked you, what proof do you have that he turned the mileage back? He didn't get the Carfax. Duh. But when he got the car, it showed 111,000 miles when he purchased it.
I gave him the same Carfax report when I obtained it.
Look, in 2014, he didn't own the car. It had 176,000 miles on it. Then the next sale of this car was in July of 2018 when he purchased it. Because you've had it, you said, about 5 years?
Yes,
Well, it's a
ma'am.
little bit longer than that. But when you purchased the car, it had 111,037 miles on it. That's what it says. New owner reported. Everybody should get one of these things. That's really fascinating. And in 2010, it had 122,000 miles on it.
Right.
He didn't turn it back then. He didn't
I
own
never said
it.
he turned it back. I was just showing him that the Carfax odometer had been rolled back. That was another reason.
That's why you're supposed to get the Carfax before you buy the car, madam, not after.
Right. I was never even aware of Carfax until my friend Christina had told me about it when we had to have it towed to my house.
That's certainly not my fault.
No, I'm sorry.
That's not his fault. That's not his fault.
The problem that I'm having is 9 days after I bought it, I had to have it towed because it broke down 40 miles out of town. When he assured me it'd be a good running car, I bought it for my daughter.
He's selling a 20-year-old car for nothing.
But I'm not even able to have it smogged. There's so much damage to the emissions. It would cost $6,000 to have it even brought up to smog.
I understand that. But that's what happens when you buy a used car, when you buy a 20-year-old car.
I trusted that he would
The
tell me.
answer is, unless you want a guarantee, which you get in writing, you buy a used car, you buy it as is. That's the answer.
But
what?
Sorry, Your Honor. I have older BMWs that I use for parts, and I told her for the first 90 days
What do you mean you have old BMWs that you use for parts?
I have bought previous BMWs that I've used for parts, just whole from a junkyard, and
where do you keep them?
I keep them at my cousin's. My cousin's property out there.
Oh, I have to tell you, I have very little sympathy for either one of you. You drove around a car and you've been driving it for 2.5 months, or for 2 months, certainly enough to get it around without insurance and without registering the
I
car.
moved it from one point to another point because he said he was going to take it from me.
Then you sue him for taking the car. But you don't drive it from one place to another to hide it from him and then not pay for it.
I would love to give it back to him.
But he offered to take it back.
But he's not going to give me my money back?
No, he said he would give you your money back, but he would take off for the time that you actually had possession of the car. Isn't that what he said to you?
Yes, Your
Just
Honor.
a second. Well, that's a pretty good deal.
On the 5th is when I told him I didn't want it.
I don't care what you told him, madam. You're not entitled to anything. You're not entitled to anything. It's your car. If the defendant, who's slick, said, I'll take the car back and I'll give you back your money less the time that you had the car in your possession, that I didn't have it, which sounds like a fair deal. If he says you gave him $1,200, not $1,500, unless you have proof that you gave him $1,500. Do you have proof that you gave him $1,500?
Just in text messages between both of us.
Well, I'd like to see that in the text messages that he acknowledges you gave him $1,500.
He also said that he would pay me back $950.
You buy a 20-year-old car unless you have a guarantee for that car. You buy it as is. If it breaks down a half a block away from his house where you bought it, it's still your car. Do you understand?
I guess so, yes.
Now, Mr. Holmes said he told you that he had other BMWs because there's something going on. He acknowledges, he said to you, for 90 days, if it needs parts, I'll give it to you. Do you remember that?
Yes.
Did you know what parts it needed?
Tammy Joseph has accused car seller Jonathan Holmes of selling her a damaged vehicle and lying about the mileage. Jonathan is countersuing Tammy for the remaining car payments.
Did you know what parts it needed?
No.
Well, if you didn't know what parts it needed, that's the only guarantee he gave you. For the first 90 days you own the car, he will replace the parts if parts need replacing. He'll cannibalize it from old cars that he's got on a junkyard at his cousin's property.
Your Honor, may I say,
All I want to see is his acknowledgement of $1,500. Do you have it?
No.
Good.
He wouldn't make any kind of connection with her whatsoever.
I don't care. He doesn't have to make a connection with her. She bought an as-is used car.
He told her that he would give her back $1,000. Then he didn't show up. Then he said, I'd give you back, it's 12, okay? He just kept blowing her off and blowing her off. And said that he was going to meet with her, and then he never did. So he kept telling her that he was going to give her money back. He just didn't go through with it.
No. What she says is, I told him to refund my deposit, and I would give the car back. He said, even though he was the one who committed a crime by tampering with the odometer. That's what you say. Well, there's no proof that he tampered with the odometer. That was an owner 10 years ago who tampered with the odometer. Instead of being civil, he came by my house and he let the air out of the tires. Did you do that, sir?
Yes, I
Say
did.
yes. And stole the battery. And you put in a new battery.
I put in the battery for my old car, yes. So I could move it into my garage so it'd be safe, yes. I did do that.
I thought you said you... I thought you told, just a second. Am I correct that she said she moved the car around the corner to a friend's house, not into her garage?
Around the corner
Just
to my...
don't speak.
Yes, around the corner to my friend's house.
That was the second time I did that, yes. I did do that. The first time I pushed it into the garage.
What was the offer that you made to her, Mr. Holmes? What was the offer that you made to her with
Regarding once we found out about
car.
the vehicle?
Yes.
I told her ultimately that I would drop the car payment down to $2,000 total and give her an engine that I had, as well as the parts that she needed for the vehicle.
Let's go slowly. Would you read back what he just said to me? I told her that I would drop the car down to $2,000.
$2,000.
Which means if she gave him $1,200, which is what he acknowledges, right?
Right.
That means she would owe another $800 on the car. Is that correct, Mr. Holmes?
That's correct.
And you'd give her the parts that she needed.
That's correct. I have the text here.
I'd like to see
There's
it.
some explicit
Kevin?
language in there, but...
Kevin. Would you tell me what this $375 is? I'll give you the $375 back and you take the car back if you don't want it?
That was when I told her that we'll figure out how much it would be for her having the vehicle for a whole month. And so I told her rental cars are about $50. I said, I'll charge you $25 a day for how long you've had it. And so that comes up to about $375 left of overall what you would have from what you paid me at deposit. And I can give you that if you give me the car back.
Okay. What are you willing to do for her today, sir?
Nothing.
You wanted to keep the car.
I want her to give me my money back for the vehicle. She's been driving it. I have videos showing her driving it just 2 days ago.
Were you driving the car 2 days ago? Okie dokie. Let me ask you this question. If you were driving the car 2 days ago?
Yes, ma'am.
If he has video of you driving the car 2 days ago, what do you think I'm going to do?
You're probably going to rule in his favor.
Correct. Were you driving the car 2 days ago?
It's been sitting in my garage.
I have videos
It's been sitting on my
driving it
desk.
also 30 days before then.
You said this was 2 days ago.
Yes.
I'd like to see it. Is that the car?
Yes, it is.
Who's that getting into the car, Miss Joseph?
That's me, but that's not 2 days ago.
That's the Stater Brothers parking lot in town where we live.
Where are you parked? In what kind of spot?
Grocery pickup in Stater Brothers.
Yes.
That's Monday, February 12th.
Yes, ma'am.
No, that was, I was not, yes, I was at Stater Brothers, but that not on February 12th. My car has not moved in weeks.
Yeah. Miss Joseph, your complaint against the defendant...
My car won't even run, actually.
Your case against the defendant is dismissed. I don't believe you that you haven't driven the car. I believe that you've driven the car without it being registered and without it being insured and certainly without it being smogged.
Yes.
The defendant has a counterclaim, and the defendant's counterclaim is the balance on the car.
And lost wages.
Forget your lost wages.
I understand.
I should charge myself for lost wages from having to endure this case. She gave you $1,200 for the car,
That's correct, ma'am.
which means she owes you $1,800.
Yes, for $3,000.
Judgment on the counterclaim for $1,800. We're done here.
Thank you.
This court is adjourned.
I didn't think it would turn out this way. I thought he would be a man of integrity.
I think she was fair in her decisions.
There's nothing I can do with the car. It won't pass smog. I can't put my 16-year-old daughter in it, and it's unsafe to drive.
The way I tried to make it right was drop it to $2,000, give her an engine and the parts that she needed for it still, and she still didn't want to do so.
He did small repairs on it to make it seem like it ran well.
I think I sold her a car that definitely was manageable, and I think I was fair in telling her for the first 3 months that, she'd get parts for it if a part went out.
40 miles into driving it, it overheated, and it was been bad ever since.
I think she'll be happy that she has the title, and hopefully she finds somebody that can fix the vehicle for her.
I thought it was common knowledge that when you buy a used car, you know, there's a stereotype of the used car salesman, and they're not always as honest as they could be, and you're not buying a brand new vehicle, and always do your homework and things like that. I was actually shocked at how shocked the plaintiff was that there were some issues with, like you said, this 20-year-old car that she was getting for close to nothing.
What about this Carfax? You know, I'm actually amazed at what they look like. I've never seen one.
I've seen a few. There's a lot of information you could find there, which is why they tell you to do it
before you buy
buying a used car. Right. Because some people are not as honest about the history of the car that you're purchasing. And so it's a good way to keep track. So again, timeline, little messed up. Should have looked that up before. But buyer beware. Like you said, you're buying an as-is used car unless you have a guarantee in writing. And she actually made out pretty well here today, given the fact that legally she had no recourse for anything, for any money, for any fixing
No, he
the car.
was entitled to the most money on the car.
Yeah.
That Carfax I find fascinating. You know, I haven't bought a used car in many years, but I did buy in my time used cars and always had a little bit of trouble with it.
Would have been nice to have.
But that Carfax that said 10 years ago, it had 110,000 miles on it. And then it went to 176 and then back down to 120. It's fascinating, the amount of information that they keep on every vehicle. Just amazing. She's accusing you of vandalizing her car.
That was not me.
My front windshield was busted out.
I don't know nothing about no windows. I'm not.
I have a video of that as well.
You know whether you were there. Video, please.
This is Judy Justice. Faith Hamilton is suing her ex-husband's partner, Sunshine Green, for vandalizing her car and defamation.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Judge, case 3168, Hamilton versus Green.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Ms. Hamilton, it is your allegation that the defendant vandalized your car.
Yes, ma'am.
And in addition to vandalizing your car, you say that she, in fact, did defame you, and I believe that that was on a social media.
Yes, ma'am, Facebook.
The defendant denies that she vandalized your car, and she says that you, in fact, defamed her. She has a counterclaim.
Yes, ma'am.
I read your papers, and it seems that you were married to a man whose name is
Adele.
How long were you married?
We got married December of 2019. We were divorced May of 2023.
And the defendant dated your husband?
Yes, ma'am.
Was that after the divorce?
Before the divorce.
Before. How much before the divorce?
I wouldn't even know. I just received information from him while he was incarcerated.
Okay. You met him while he was incarcerated?
No, I met him when he was out of incarceration.
Give me the month and year.
Probably about October of 2023, I believe.
What was he incarcerated for?
He was on a parole violation.
Okay. How long was he incarcerated for?
Less than 2 years, maybe about 16 months, maybe.
But you met him before he went into jail?
Correct.
And did you continue to communicate with him while he was incarcerated?
Yes.
Did you see him? Did you visit him?
No, actually, he was paroled to me.
To your home?
Yes.
You're
upon his release.
So he came to your house from prison?
I picked him up from prison.
Now, at some point, you were in a car together with your ex-husband.
Yes, it was my car.
What were you doing together?
We were just hanging together. We were leaving my sister's house.
So this is after the divorce?
Yes.
Month and year?
November 2023.
So it was a friendly divorce?
Well, it wasn't friendly to start. After a few months went by, we talked and decided that we just wanted to be friends.
This incident happened in November. Do you remember the day?
Yes, ma'am. November 27th, 2023.
Tell me what happened.
So me and my ex-husband, we were sitting in the car.
Where?
Out in the parking lot of my sister's apartment complex. We were getting ready to leave. He informed me that Sunshine was sitting in a car nearby. So I just told him, let's just leave.
Do you live in that area?
No, ma'am.
You were in the parking lot for what reason?
I was not in the parking lot. I received a telephone call requesting that I come and meet with him to release his clothing that were at my home because he was on the run.
He sounds like a prize if that's true. So he tells you to meet him where he knows he's going to be with his ex-wife.
I had no idea.
You had no idea?
No idea.
Okay, so now you're in the parking lot with your ex-husband.
Yes.
And he says to you, there is Sunshine.
Yeah.
And you know who Sunshine is.
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
So I told him it would just be best if we decided to leave.
Because you were no longer together, is that right?
No, we were together. We're on the run. Where he was paroled to at my house, he can't come there because police and parole were looking for him.
What were they looking for him for?
He got released from incarceration October 18th. Approximately a week later, he absconded from parole.
How do you do that? You mean he didn't report to his parole officer?
I contact parole, letting them know that he was not at home when he's supposed to be at home.
Okay, so he was paroled to you and he left your house?
Yes.
Got it. How many hours or days had he been gone when you contacted his parole officer?
Approximately about a week.
So you didn't know where he was. Did you know where he was?
Yes, I did.
Where was he?
He was with me and with other people as well.
You mean with other ladies?
I assume so.
You assume so. Okay. So when you called the parole officer to advise him that he was no longer with you, you weren't worried for his safety.
I was absolutely worried about his safety, and I gave him multiple chances of please return back home. I spoke with parole. Parole is willing to give you an additional chance as long as you come back home and contact them, let them know that you're here. He would tell me multiple times that yes, he will come and return back. And as I continue to ask him, like, where are you at? What's going on? It's after 9 o'clock. You need to be here. And he tells me, well, I'll be there, and never shows up.
I got it. Okay, so now you see her in the parking lot.
Yes.
This prize package, by the way, where is he now?
Incarcerated.
Ah, good. Well, he'll be able to watch me from the rec room. He now called her and told her to meet him and bring him clothes to where he was going to be with you. Did you know that he had called her?
I didn't.
No. And when you saw her, you were driving? Your car.
He was driving.
He was driving your car.
Yes.
With no license.
Don't shut out. That's the least of his troubles.
Right.
Right?
Right. Right.
He's got you, the parole board, and the entire penitentiary system to worry about. Having no driver's license is really the least of his problems. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Faith Hamilton claims her ex-husband's partner, Sunshine Green, vandalized her car and defamed her online. Sunshine is countersuing for a false police report and defamation.
So he sees her, there's Sunshine, you know who Sunshine is, you say, let's go.
Yes.
And?
As we were leaving, Sunshine began chasing us. So once I noticed that she were chasing us, I told him, let's go to the police station.
That's not true.
We were...
No. Just shh.
As we were driving, we were stopped at a red light, and Sunshine got out of her car and tried to punch the passenger side of my window car. And I have a video of that as well. I can show you that. And we continued to drive until we reached the police station.
Okay, and you say that's not true?
That's not true.
Okay, so I'd like to see that video.
Babe, back up. Babe, go, babe.
Your Honor, the reason...
Now, that was you getting out of your car and approaching her car.
Yes.
So when you said that's not true, that's what I saw. I saw you angry getting out of your car.
She stated that I tried to bust out a window.
Just a second. I saw you angry getting out of your car. And then the camera went. Okay, so you said to him, let's go to the police station. And?
Once we got to the police station, they said I had to wait for an officer to get there. I waited for about an hour or so, but I didn't stay to actually get a report.
Okay, and then you left.
And then I left.
Keep going.
Later that day, Sunshine came by my home, in which I have a video of that, where she asked my mother, what kind of car do I drive?
Okay, now, she has, again, Miss Green.
Yes.
Just want to let you know, I saw that video. You told me that that wasn't the case. She says she has a video of you in conversation with her mother.
I'd like to see the video.
Just a second. No, that's not what I asked you. am I going to see you talking to her mother?
No, ma'am.
Okay, let's see the video.
Hello? Let me put you on. Hi, how are you? Are you Faith? I am. You are? Faith drive a black truck? What is that? Does she drive a black?
And?
Ma'am.
I mean, just a second. That is you.
That is absolutely.
That is you.
Well, I actually cannot see the video.
Oh, you can go up. But you know if you listen to me, Sunshine, whether you can see it or not, you know whether you were there.
Absolutely.
Just a second. You know whether or not you were there. So the question is, you want to look and see whether I can see that it was you there?
No, me.
Oh, just a second. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
Okay. You were there and asking what kind of car she drove. That would be a yes.
Yes. But that was...
Just a second. That's not a but. That's a yes.
Yes.
What was your interest in whether or not she drove a Tesla or a Grand Prix or a Chevy? What was your interest in that?
Because on November 19th, I had filed charges against Adele and Faith Hamilton in regards to an incident that occurred when...
Put that down.
Which is the police report.
Put it down.
Your Honor.
On November 19th, you say you filed a complaint against the two of them.
Yes.
For what?
For robbery.
Okay. Who robbed what?
As I was driving down a street, I came in contact with Adele walking. Adele called me on the phone. Adele asked me if I can come back and speak with him. As I came back, he stated he has Faith with him. They were walking together. And I said, okay, that's fine. He said, well, Faith would like to speak with you as well. I said, well, it's not going to be a problem, is it? I said, because I don't want to be in no problem. So he said, no. So I welcomed them both into my vehicle. He put out a handgun and demanded money from me. As I had the money in my conceal, which was my rent for $850, Faith snatched the money and ran. Both of them ran out of the vehicle, which at that time I immediately went to the police station and filed a police report.
My question is, what are you doing here?
Because I was going to let the police know this is her address. I didn't know at the time. I gave them two different addresses, and then I ended up came in contact by someone.
Well, that's not really smart, is it?
It's not at all.
It's not really smart to go to the house, and you don't look frightened. I mean, you're there asking her questions. You didn't ask whether she lived there or not. You asked what kind of car she had.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And then?
And then later that day, I was leaving for work because I work overnights around 8:30 p.m. I noticed that my front windshield was busted out and the two tires on my passenger side was busted out as well.
Photographs?
Yes.
I'd like to take a look at them. And that was on the 27th?
Yes, ma'am. Your Honor, can I say something?
Yeah.
I also have a text message that she sent with a video of her actually busting out of my windshield. And I also have a Ring camera video of her busting two of the tires as well.
Okay.
I have no idea about this.
Just a second. I don't care whether you have an idea of this, Miss Green. This is just a second. Well, it's not new to you that she's accusing you of vandalizing her car, because certainly you're here because she's accusing you of vandalizing. So what's news to you is she has video proof of you doing it from a Ring camera. Am I correct?
I have.
You have no idea. You haven't seen it.
idea.
Okay, now, I've already seen two videos, Miss Green. The first one, you said didn't happen until we saw it, and then you said, well, it did happen. The next one was, she said you came to her home to try to find out what kind of car you drove, and you said, no, I didn't. And then she had a video. Pay careful attention. So far, your batting average is in the toilet.
Faith Hamilton has accused her ex-husband's partner, Sunshine Green, of vandalizing Faith's car and online defamation. Sunshine is countersuing, claiming Faith defamed her on social media.
Now, I'm going to play the video. I haven't seen it either. Before I play it, do you want to tell me whether or not I'm going to see you flattening her tires and busting her windshield?
No, Your Honor.
Video, please. Okay, so that's somebody who I can't identify coming up to your car. It's a single person, unless you have it clearer on your phone.
No, that's the only one, the video that I have. That's the video for the tires. I have a video where you can't see her, but in the video, somebody's running up to my window.
Shh. Let me see it. Don't tell me what. I mean, I have eyes.
The one of the windshield is on the phone.
Okay, I'll take a look at it. Kevin.
Your Honor, again, I had nothing to do with it. I don't know nothing about no windows. I'm not, that was not me.
Who took this video?
She sent my ex-husband a text message. That video, in the text message, she says...
No, I can read.
I'm sorry.
I can read. So you got this video, because this video is not from a Ring camera. This is taken from somebody's own camera because they're following their feet.
Yes.
Okay? That's what it shows. Okay, now I'll see the text message.
May I see that video as well?
Yeah, sure.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Would you show this to Ms. Green? This is from your ex-husband's text messages.
Yes.
It reads, "Your face next. Call her and ask what just happened. Soon you're next. Call Faith and tell her to check her vehicle." Sarah, would you do me a favor? Go in the back and dial this number, 716.
Can I have that?
Yeah.
Do you want me to write it down? You might want to have her take her phone off airplane mode.
Just a second, is your phone with you?
Yes, ma'am.
Take it out. Take it off whatever mode it's on. What mode is it on? Kevin, go over and watch the defendant, please. Take it off whatever mode is off. Perfect. Just want to see, it may not come through this number, but that certainly sounds interesting, because whoever did this to your car clearly had two things. Had your ex-husband's telephone number, because they sent him a text message. That's one. Knew your name, Faith. That's two.
I have a police report as well.
Okay, Kevin, you can come back now. But first, would you give me Miss Hamilton's police report?
Should I turn this back off or should I leave it on?
Just leave it right there.
It's a spam number, so when you call it, it just says, "Thank you for accepting our offer." And it's a spam number, so I'm sure it could be a generated number if people are looking to get alternative phone numbers.
Kevin, would you go over to the phone? See if anything buzzed. Nothing. Leave it up here. Thank you. Okay, well, this is just a police report about what happened. It doesn't give me any further information.
Your Honor.
What?
May I speak, please?
About what?
I have a police report that Faith filed against me and had me arrested. And in that police report, and when I approached the judge, which the case just got dismissed, none of this that she's stating was any of the charges that...
Just a second. You have a countersuit.
Yes.
And your countersuit is for false charges. I assume these are the false charges.
Yes.
Well, you have to understand, Ms. Green, so far what I have is you were at a place going to meet your ex-boyfriend who you were really annoyed at because he left the home where you had allowed him to come to after he was released from prison. You went to jail, you picked him up, you brought him home, and all of a sudden he disappears for a week. And you're back and forth. You better come back. I spoke to your parole officer. He'll give you another chance. Nothing. Then you get a call from him, according to you, meet me at this parking lot because I need some clothes. You go over there. You are angrily exiting your car. Then I have, that same day, you verifying or attempting to verify with the person who lives in her house. She says her mother, what kind of car she drives, because you knew he didn't have a car because he was driving the car that you saw in the afternoon. You wanted to know what kind of car Miss Hamilton drove. That night, her car is vandalized. And Adele receives a text message from a spam number that says, next time it's your face. Soon you're next. Call Faith and tell her to check her vehicle. I have to tell you that in a beyond a reasonable doubt situation, maybe some jury of 6 or 12 would have some doubt about whether or not you vandalized her car. So far, I have to tell you, I have no doubt that you vandalized her car. Just understand. You filed for a protective order?
I can show you where I had to actually block her from messaging me on Facebook.
I was not aware of none of this.
She is, I would have to say, obsessed with me.
There is an order of protection against you. If you violate the order of protection, you're going to jail. Get it through your noodle.
This is Judy Justice. Previously on Judy Justice.
It seems that you were married and the defendant dated your husband.
Yes, ma'am.
Was that after the divorce?
Before the divorce.
Before. Tell me what happened.
So me and my ex-husband, we were sitting in the car, and Sunshine got out of her car and tried to punch the passenger side of my window car.
Who robbed what?
He put out a handgun and demanded money from me. Faith snatched the money and ran. Both of them ran out of the vehicle.
This is from your ex-husband's text messages.
Yes.
It reads, your face next. Call Faith and tell her to check her vehicle. And then?
I also have a text message that she sent with a video of her actually busting out of my windshield. And I also have a Ring camera video of her busting the tires as well.
You have a countersuit.
Yes.
And your countersuit is for false charges. I assume these are the false charges.
Yes.
And now, the conclusion. Faith Hamilton is suing her ex-husband's partner, Sunshine Green, for vandalizing her car and defamation.
Anything else you want to tell me?
I also have another message where she sent to Adele.
I read it.
It says...
Just a sec, don't tell me what it says. B-A-E, what does that mean?
Bae. That's what she was calling him.
Bae. I'm not trying to be in nasty words, but I guess you don't want me anymore. I cry. I done fake accounts. I called from numerous numbers. I broke out windows. I keep in door. Told me that you were going to come back, which you didn't. I'm not going to wish bad on you. I love you, but this has caused me a lot. I will not reach out to you anymore. I give up trying. There are a few items here at the house that you didn't left. I will reach out to Faith or your mother to give it to them. There are still clothes and other personal things you left.
That is not me. She said Adele be out there with multiple other girls. That is not me.
Okay. Anything else?
Yes. So for the second part of my claim, I would have to say that I believe Sunshine is, I would have to say, obsessed with me. There are many occasions where, one, that report that Sunshine told you about where she filed the robbery charges against me and my ex-husband, when I answered to the detective, talked to him, I told him.
You can't tell me what you told the detective. Were you arrested on that complaint?
I was not arrested on that complaint. I actually received the order of protection from that.
Just a second. The answer is you were not arrested on her complaint.
No.
You were, in fact, contacted by the police.
Yes.
Subsequent to being contacted by the police, is what you're telling me that you filed for a protective order?
Yes, and I was granted it.
Do you have a copy of it?
Yes.
I'd like to see it. What happened with it?
We have an order
Can I see
of
that, Your
stay
Honor?
away until May 9th of this year.
Did you have a hearing?
Yes, we had.
Who was present at the hearing?
I was there.
Was she there?
Yes.
Was testimony taken?
Not for me, no.
Was testimony taken from Miss Green?
Can I explain what happened on those dates? Because we had to go 3 times. On the first date, Sunshine told the judge that I lived with her.
Your Honor, she did state on record that
Just a second.
she was arrested.
Just a second.
So I had to prove that I didn't live with her because that's what Sunshine told the judge. And then when we went back, it was another discrepancy from Sunshine. And then when we went back, that's when the judge gave me the final order and the temporary protection order for May 9th of this year.
But you don't have to return to court. It expires May 9th.
Yes.
Does the defendant have a protective order against you?
No.
No. What else?
I also have where Sunshine posted on Facebook saying that I was a wanted felon, and she also posted where I live on Facebook.
Well, just a second. Are you on Facebook?
I am.
Can I see where she posted that you're a wanted felon?
Yes.
Before I look at it, did you post that she was a wanted felon?
I would like to see what
I'm asking you, before I look at it, I'm asking you whether or not you posted that she was a wanted felon.
No, I posted Adele is a wanted felon.
Okay.
Your Honor, can I say
Yes, no, you did. You did. Listen to me.
That?
I'm going to read it to you. If you know Adele, contact the police department in New York State Parole. He is wanted. Also, if you know where Faith Hamilton is, she is accomplished. I assume you meant accomplice with hiding Adele, and she is wanted by the police department for felony charges. Her last known area.
Can I see that, please, ma'am?
Absolutely.
Your Honor, can I say something? Oh.
Right. It clearly says that Adele is wanted by the police.
Keep reading.
Accomplished with hiding Adele, and she is wanted by the police department for felony charges.
Correct.
With these charges that I filed on police department, which is here, I have it. They are wanted.
No, madam. First you said you didn't, then you said you wanted to see it. I'll take it back. I'll take it back now.
I do.
You have to understand something, madam. I get it. I get it.
Faith Hamilton claims her ex-husband's partner, Sunshine Green, vandalized her car and defamed her online. Sunshine is countersuing for a false police report and defamation.
Now, why she's on the tip of your nose, I have no idea. You're a girlfriend. You were dating him while he was married to her. If anything, you should be on the tip of her nose, not vice versa. So I don't know why she's on the tip of your nose. And you did, in fact, say she's a wanted felon. And that's not true. As a matter of fact, after a judge heard the allegations, the court granted her a protective order for almost a year against you, based upon your statements.
There's no order of protection for a year, ma'am. That is incorrect.
Tell me when it expires.
This order of protection expires 5/9/2024. The order was was issued on February. I never had a complete order of protection. I had
Just a second. There is an order of protection against you. Understand this. Get it through your noodle. There is an order of protection against you. If you violate the order of protection, you're going to jail. She has an order of protection issued by a judge who you saw 3 times, who granted her a protective order much after you had filed these robbery charges against her, which the detectives decided to go nowhere. Detectives didn't buy it, and neither did the judge who heard the protective order case, because the charges that you filed against her were brought up before that judge, before he issued the protective order against you.
When I received this notification, I didn't receive this charge until when I approached in court. I came in court on February. I was not aware of none of this. I just received this in the mail. As I went to court on this and I argued, and I spoke with the DA and I spoke with the lawyer, and I showed them that all this that was going on, and this is basically because of her husband, the judge and the DA and my attorney agreed.
No. Don't tell me what they agreed, madam. What I'm telling you...
I have the letter from the courts right here that states...
Just a second. Somebody prepared a letter for you for this proceeding?
Was the courts. It was from the court. It was from the...
Can I see what she has?
And here's... I would like
No, I'm not interested in that.
All right.
Because I didn't buy it, and neither did anybody else. What? This is an attorney from the Legal Aid Society. That's not from the court.
Right,
Return that to her.
I was never convicted of
Just
any
a second.
charges.
Return that to her.
I was never convicted of any charges.
Very good. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $2,600. Just a second on your claim. Don't speak. On your claim, I find that she is guilty of vandalism, and I find that she did, in fact, defame you when she said that you were wanted for a felony in this post, which you clearly were not. Okay, now we're going to get to your counterclaim. Your counterclaim is false charges. Well, that's out because I find that you absolutely vandalized her car. And defamation. So now the only thing left that I'm going to hear is the defamation part of your lawsuit. Tell me how Miss Hamilton defamed you.
I have multiple messages from Facebook and also from her texting me stating that...
No, listen to me. Her sending you text messages is not defamation. That's communication between two people. She can call you the worst names in the book as long as it's between the two of you. Defamation is when it's relayed to a third person or other people. So you want to show me what it is that you are complaining about that she broadcasts to other people about you that would fall within the category of defamation.
Yes, I also have a witness here that also
Just a second. Show me. Yes, don't give me a whole bunch of stuff. Don't give me text messages. Just show me what you are alleging. Give her a pen, Kevin, and let her circle it.
I will.
Circle it.
Yes. Which it has been posted on her page. And there you are.
Okay. Is this something that she's talking to you?
I received that as a text message, and then she posted on her wall, which my witness right here.
Do you have any information that the defendant has a serious illness?
No.
You posted here.
I didn't post anything. I can pull up my Facebook account. I can show you. I don't hardly post anything on Facebook.
Hold on a second. Hold on a second. I'm going to show these to you. This appears to come from Faith Hamilton. But let's make certain you have no information that the defendant has a serious illness.
No.
Okay, now show the stuff.
Well,
shh. Don't speak.
Those look more like personal
Your Honor,
messages
this is
back and forth.
I'm going to show them to you because I don't understand them.
Your Honor, this is actually direct messages, and my Facebook name is not Faith D. Hamilton, it's Faith Hamilton.
So what you're telling me, can I have those back?
And that's not
So these are text messages.
That is the equivalent of a text message.
These are text messages.
Yes, that does not appear to be a public posting.
Okay.
Whatever they may be, they're direct between two people, not posting for public.
Ms. Green.
Yes.
Pay careful attention. You're flipping around. What I asked you for and what I told you was, well, maybe if you stop paying attention to other things, you'd give me what I wanted.
Faith Hamilton has accused her ex-husband's partner, Sunshine Green, of vandalizing Faith's car and online defamation. Sunshine is countersuing, claiming Faith defamed her on social media.
I said, I don't care what two people say to each other, texting back and forth or emailing back and forth. That's between two people. She could say whatever she wants to you. I mean, there are certain things she can't say, but certainly in here, nasty. But she can say this to you. I asked you to show me where she posted it on a public forum, and you gave me...
My witness has it, ma'am, in her phone. My witness has it.
Your witness has it from where?
Facebook.
Okay. Do you have something that she posted on Facebook that mentions a serious illness that Miss Green has?
Yes.
Well, I'd like to see it. Let me see it.
Hold your finger. Oh, let me stand here.
Okay, is this a Facebook page?
Sorry, I can't see. Yes, that would be a post then on her page.
On whose page?
Whoever, Faith D. Hamilton.
That would be her.
Yeah.
That's not my Facebook. I can show you where I had to actually block her from messaging me on Facebook, and I can pull up my Facebook account, and my name is not Faith D. Hamilton on Facebook. That page is not for me. That is not my Facebook account. I had to actually block Sunshine from messaging me on Facebook. And again,
I want you to show this to the plaintiff, please.
Your Honor, can I show you my Facebook account? These pictures that were posted 20 hours ago on my actual Facebook were posted when I was back in high school. So it appears that they whatever went to my Facebook, but these pictures from 20 hours ago were from years ago. And again, I don't post on Facebook. I just share.
Those were posted 20 hours ago?
From her account, but from my real account, these pictures, I was in high school in these pictures, and I was in high school from 2013 to 2017, and I can pull that up right now.
Pull up your Facebook page. Would you give Sarah both those?
Okay, so it looks like the plaintiff has her Facebook account that does not have the Faith D. Hamilton in it. Someone could have taken the same photo that she has as her profile picture to create this account, because also it says that whoever took these screenshots, this is not of the actual Facebook page. You could ask them to bring up the actual Facebook page of Faith D. Hamilton. You'll be able to see how many friends they have.
Tell them what you need.
Instead of a photo, I want to see the actual Facebook page that you're referring to.
I wish I understood all of this stuff.
And can I show you the
No.
Because it said in the screenshot,
So she needs
whoever
a
took
picture
the
of the Facebook
screenshot
page?
is friends with Faith D. Hamilton, which the plaintiff is claiming that she has blocked them, so they would be unable to be friends. So whoever took the screenshot either created the account or knew whoever created the account to be friends.
Okay.
So it's not on there.
Yeah,
She
she
removed it. She removed it.
But her Facebook page is still active, and she posted as recently as February 26th.
Very good.
Yeah, because this say only
Okay,
two
just a
mutual
second.
friends.
Is that all that you have?
Yes.
Yes, good. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $2,600. Counterclaims dismissed. We're finished here. Thank you.
This court is adjourned.
Careful, Miss Green, because there is a final order of protection that's out there, and it looks as if this lady
Well, the
just
order of
might
protection is a
pay careful
non-offensive order of
attention.
protection.
This lady just might use it if you harass her, assault her, or come within the prescribed limits of where you're supposed to be away from her. She can have you arrested, and I wouldn't do it. I would just stay away from her. We're done.
This way, please.
I am very pleased with the judge. I'm happy that she was able to see through the lies. I'm happy that she seen the truth, so I'm pleased.
I'm fine with it. She got what she wanted. She did what she had to do. She proved if it was me, which I know it was not me, but again, she likes to manipulate the system and also manipulate her ex-husband to believe this is the type of person I am, which I'm not.
She's jealous that the fact me and my ex-husband are great friends. She thought that she would be able to remove me from his life, and like I told him, you can do what you want to do. I'll be here to support you. And she doesn't like it.
I did not do that, which the video does not show that I done anything pertaining to a tire being punched or a window. But it's fine. She got it.
She did, in fact, damage my car. The judge knows. That's why she ruled in my favor.
I want to be left alone.
I just want her to leave me alone. I don't want anything to do with this woman. And like Judge Judy said, if she continues to mess with me, I will contact the police.
You could tell whoever created a fake Facebook page and took private messages and posted them knew the requirements of defamation as public consumption for in a public forum or for a third party to hear, because you could tell whoever took the screenshot was friends with this Faith D. Hamilton. And as the plaintiff said, she blocked her and wanted nothing to do with her. So that would have been impossible had it been
I don't
the plaintiff's...
understand all that, but I'm sure the people out there listening
Sure.
do understand that.
Sure, and the fact that they couldn't bring up the actual Facebook page when I requested it only further proved my point, so.
I also think it's interesting, Sarah, that today, I mean, within the last decade, most people have some sort of photographic ability in their house by way of their ring camera or whatever they put there that's stationary. But it makes your life so much easier.
Sure, she had multiple videos. You know, some from the ring camera, most from either a ring or a security camera.
Right.
And it makes our job easier.
Well, it does. And because the person against whom this photography is being used usually doesn't know that it exists, it makes it even more interesting. Your dog has now caused injury to somebody. I don't know why you're smiling. You're such an idiot.
I don't think that it's funny that she got hurt, but my dogs are not vicious. I just cannot agree with that.
I don't give a rat's behind whether you agree or not, madam. That you're too stupid to understand that is something you have to take up with your parents or your therapist, not me.
This is Judy Justice. Susan Ferguson is suing her neighbor, Tanisha Harrison, for damages from a dog attack.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Case 3158, Ferguson versus Harrison.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Miss Ferguson, it is your claim that the defendant's dog, her unleashed dog, caused a serious injury to you, compound fracture of your ankle, and injury to your dog, a puncture wound that was, in fact, attended to by a vet. You were hospitalized for 4 days. Most of your medical bills were covered. You did have some that were not. Your lawsuit asks that she be responsible for your injury, the dog's, including pain and suffering.
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Harrison said, all your fault. That seems to be your...
That is correct.
Okay. On what date did this incident occur with Ms. Harrison's dog?
It was April 27th of 2023.
What kind of dog do you have?
I have he's a mutt. We believe he is part poodle, part schnauzer. He was a rescue.
At how old is he?
I believe he's 3.
And how much does he weigh?
22 pounds.
And you were taking him out for a walk?
I was taking him out for a bathroom break, actually. Yes. I work 8 hours a day. Got off work, came home.
So what time was this?
So it was probably about 3:30.
In the afternoon?
Yes. And I took him out for a bathroom break, and it happened so quickly. I was usually go down my drive, and...
Show me where you live. Could you walk over there and show me where you live?
Yes. Actually... So, from her house...
Show me where you came out. I see what you're...
So there's a driveway. I have pictures that might be better.
Fine.
Why don't we do that, ma'am?
While she's looking for those photographs, Miss Harrison, that is a photograph of your house. The two of you were neighbors.
That is correct.
What kind of a dog do you have?
I have a pit bull.
How old?
3.
How long have you had him?
3 years.
Is that your only dog?
I have 2 dogs.
Two pit bulls?
Yes.
Both the same age?
The boy is 4.
And this is a girl.
Yes.
Her house is here. Behind here. Goes around here. And that's her house.
Did you understand that, Kevin?
No, I didn't see the house.
No, I'm just telling you. Did you understand that explanation?
No.
Okay. So, okay, you're out. Dog is on a potty break, and?
Okay, so her dog came around, and that's basically
Came around where?
From her backyard into our yard, and then around the corner, and then down the alley.
And the alley that you're referring to is right here?
Yes, ma'am.
And that's where you encountered her dog?
Yes, ma'am.
And there is broken pavement here. Yes. And what happened when you encountered her dog?
Her dog charged my dog and latched on, and my dog started squealing. And I was trying to get in between them. And as I did that, her dog knocked me down. I fell. It startled her dog. Her dog released my dog. I was able to grab onto her dog's collar, hold on for dear life. And then a resident of her house heard me screaming, and he came running and grabbed the dog.
A male?
A male.
Who grabbed the dog?
I grabbed the dog.
Why would she say a male grabbed the dog if it was you? You can't be
It was
mistaken.
a male.
Honestly, this has been an ongoing thing. There was no male. My dog got loose. My dog didn't leave the neighborhood or the yard.
Your dog was off leash. You acknowledge that your dog was off leash.
Yes, ma'am.
Right. And let's say the dog didn't leave your yard, which I don't believe.
Okay.
But let's say that, because we're going to come back to her injuries in a moment, which was serious. You acknowledge that her injuries were serious. I read your answer, and what your answer says was, you start out by saying, I unlatched my door, and the dog pushed out, without my realizing it, the dog pushed out the front door after I had unlatched it. That's the way you started your answer, right? Yes, that's what you said. Do you want me to read what you said, or does that refresh your recollection?
You can read it.
Okay, fine. On the day in question, my door did not fully latch, and my dog pushed his way outside. I followed him to the yard.
That is correct. I did not unlatch the door at that time.
Did not fully latch.
That is correct.
Okay. I mean, what is semantics? The dog got out without a leash.
Correct.
A pit bull.
That's correct.
A pit bull. Okay. And you own your own house?
I do not own it.
You rent it?
I do.
You have renter's insurance?
I do not.
Oh, that's a pity. Did you try to get renter's insurance?
I did not.
Oh, that's a good thing, because they usually don't issue renter's insurance to people who have pit bulls, and also a variety of other dogs that have been deemed to be dangerous. So if you have a pit bull, you got to keep it under control at all times, because they are capable of serious damage. You do understand that, don't you?
I do understand that.
Great. And you do understand that if, as you indicated in your answer, the pavement she was walking on was cracked. Absolutely agree with you. I see the photos. And I absolutely agree with you, for the purposes of this argument, did not come into physical contact with her, but that she turned to run away from your unleashed dog. For the purposes of this discussion, you don't think you're responsible.
I do not, ma'am.
Well, then I'm here to tell you you are legally responsible, because the sidewalk was uneven. But if I believe you, which I don't because you weren't there, if I believe you, your dog came out unleashed, and she, for whatever reason, she's small, she's frail, she turned to run away from your dog, because that's what you say here. She turned. So when she tried to run, what was she running from? She wasn't running from a mugger. She wasn't running from a burning fire. What was she running from?
Your Honor.
Just a second. Not a Your Honor. Yeah, answer my question. Rightly or wrongly, she was running away from an 80-pound pit bull that you allowed to run unleashed, whether it was on your property or not. I don't believe it was on your property, but let's say I believe. It doesn't matter. Your unleashed dog put in a series of events in place that caused her injury. Don't you understand that? I mean, are you that stupid that you don't understand that?
Susan Ferguson claims her neighbor, Tanisha Harrison, is responsible for damages after Tanisha's pit bull attacked Susan and her dog.
I'm going to say it again. Your unlatched door allowed your 80-pound pit bull to get out, unleashed, and run into your yard. She got frightened. If I'm believing your scenario, that's not what she says. If I believe your scenario, she got frightened and turned to run. That's what you said.
I agree that my dog did get loose. My dog did not leave my property. If she was frightened, she could have slipped over her dog but there was no reason for her to be scared.
There was no reason. I want to tell you something. If I were walking with my dog, which is much smaller, and I saw an 80-pound pit bull running without a leash, I would be petrified. I would turn and run, or do what you're supposed to do with a grizzly bear, stand there, but I would turn and run and be frightened. And that series of events which caused her accident were put in motion by the fact that your unleashed dog was out unattended.
I can't agree.
I don't give a rat's behind whether you agree or not, madam. That you're too stupid to understand that is something you have to take up with your parents or your therapist, not me. That's the law. Your conduct put in place a course of events which caused her injury. Your negligence in not keeping your dog leashed and in your home precipitated her injury. Or, as they put it in a very famous case in the law, but for your action, she would not be injured. But for the fact that your dog got out unattended, whether the dog pushed her or she got frightened, that series of events was precipitated by your negligence. Whether you agree with me or not, I don't care. And whether you understand it and whether you're simple-minded and don't get it, I can't control that. You choose to have two potentially dangerous dogs that other people are afraid of.
My dogs are not vicious.
I want to tell you something. The last article that I got was 2 weeks ago about a pit bull killing a baby.
Not my dog.
I have to tell you something. I have a little dog, right? And yesterday I was playing with her and playing with a sock. And I was making believe that my hand, like an idiot, was a sock, was a puppet. And she was trying to get it. And one of her little teeth went through my arm. So I put some peroxide on it. She's not an 80-pound dog that is #1 on every state's most dangerous dog list. Numero uno. You choose to have you and the rest of the stupid people that choose to have those dogs, you have to take responsibility for other people being frightened of them. Madam, I can't tell you I have a drawer full of people who say, my dog would never hurt anybody. But I have to tell you, other people don't feel that way. So if you choose to have a pit bull, you make damn sure that that dog is under your control at all times. Can I see photographs of your injuries, please? You have medical reports?
I've never seen this picture. I never want to see it, but that's a picture of my injury.
I'm actually a little skittish myself about those things, but usually only when they are on me. I can usually look at them if they're on somebody else. Serious, very serious. I assume that the maximum jurisdictional financial limit in your jurisdiction is $6,500.
Yes,
is that correct? Because I wondered where you got that number from. What kind of work do you do, Ms. Harrison?
I'm a quote specialist in insurance.
For insurance?
That's correct.
Who do you live with?
Myself and my children.
How many children?
3.
How old are they?
14 and 2 8-year-olds. And I do have a paper I'd like you to take a look at that shows that everything that she is claiming was unknown on this day. It all came after her incident.
Okay, I'm going to see what you have to tell me. The admission date was April 27th, which was the date of this incident. You actually said that you saw your dog, so you know that she fell. And you actually say that you took the dog back to your house. She said it was a male. And since I don't believe that the dog was on your front lawn, I tend to doubt everything else that you're telling me. But you said you saw and heard ambulances and fire trucks right afterwards. You said, so I don't understand what you're telling me.
It was probably about 10 to 15 minutes that I heard the ambulance arrive. I didn't realize at the time that you...
When you grabbed your dog, did you see the plaintiff?
I did see the plaintiff.
And just a second. And where was she when you saw her?
She was up by her home.
Was she on the ground?
No.
What was she doing?
She had her dog, so it appeared she was gonna take it on a walk. I'm not for sure what she was doing.
Okay.
Your Honor,
Just a second.
I'm sorry.
You know, not only do I think that you're stupid for having 2 pit bulls in your house with 2 small children, which you've had for 4 years, according to you, one, and 3 years another. So that, to me, in and of itself, says that you are a negligent parent and stupid. However, when I read your answer, which you probably don't remember, let me read what you said when you want to show me that this didn't occur because of your dog.
Okay.
This is your sworn statement. My dog went to the end of my property to check out the plaintiff and her dog. He was calm and wagging his tail. The plaintiff's dog was skittish and barking. As my dog approached, the plaintiff freaked out. I believe she was being extra paranoid because she was high. She lunged backward, trying to pull her dog away. The pavement she was walking on was cracked and uneven and lifting up in several spots. So when she tried to run, she tripped and fell. She ended up falling on her dog. That's your sworn statement. That's a little different from what you just told me.
I'm pretty sure.
That's a little different from what you just told me.
I did not see her actually fall. I didn't learn that until afterwards.
Then why did you swear to this?
I may have worded it wrong.
You didn't word it wrong. You worded it to suit the best possible scenario you could for you.
Susan Ferguson has accused her neighbor, Tanisha Harrison, of owing for damages after Tanisha's pit bull attacked Susan and her dog.
Somehow you snowed animal control because if they didn't take custody of your dog, there was something, what?
I have a report here.
May I see it, please? Okay, so the synopsis of the Iowa Police Department says, April 27, 3:51, I was dispatched to an address in regard to an ambulance call involving a possible dog attack. I was told that Susan Ferguson had fallen while trying to protect her dog, Max, from the neighbor's pit bull, resulting in a broken ankle. At this point, I was unaware of any of the issues involving the neighbor's dogs, and thought this to be an isolated incident. It was also unknown at this time that Miss Ferguson's dog had sustained some injuries from the neighbor's dog. Officer knocked on your door, where Tanisha Harrison answered. We informed her of the incident next door, and she confirmed her dog was in the house, as well as the dog had managed to slip out the back door, which led to the incident with Ferguson. Harrison was apologetic about the incident, and due to the fact that it appeared to be an isolated instance, no citation was issued. An unknown amount of time passes before I was contacted by Ferguson with regard to the incident, where I learned that Max had actually been injured. Max is your dog, that had been injured as well, and that there had been previous issues involving Harrison's dogs getting loose. After learning of this being an ongoing issue, I informed Ferguson to call and report the dogs at large at any time she sees them off their own property, so we could establish a pattern of offenses. That's the police report. You have a different report?
No, I have that same report.
Yeah, okay. I don't even have to, your dog is okay now.
Yes.
It was taken to the vet by somebody else. All right. Miss Harrison, as I said, you get the impression that I think that your negligence in keeping these 2 pit bulls in your house with small children is problematic. You understand that. And I understand all you pit bull lovers out there, you're going to write me nasty notes. Don't bother. I don't read them. Your dog has now caused injury to somebody. If your dog causes injury again, this lady is going to know about it because she's still your neighbor, or did you move?
I still live there, yes.
And you still live there?
Yes.
So she will know. So hopefully when one of your dogs decides to act out again, it's not with one of your 8-year-olds. Now, I know that you think that that's impossible. If I knew you better and if I wanted to get to know you better, which I don't, I would take you into my office and show you a drawer full of articles that people send me about their grandchildren, their neighbor, their parent, or themselves who have been seriously injured or killed by a pit bull. I never knew anybody that got killed by a Shih Tzu. Never. So you choose to have a dangerous animal in your house. That's totally your bag. She's suing you for $6,500. If the court could award her more than that, which I can't, I would. If you work for an insurance company and you give quotes for insurance, you should have renter's insurance. So, well, I don't know why you're smiling. You're such an idiot. Did you see how much damage to her leg your dog caused? Did you take a look at it? I want you to think about one of your 8-year-olds having a bone come through their leg.
Your Honor.
Caused by listen to me, caused by somebody else. You see that stupid smile that you have on your face?
I don't think that it's funny that she got hurt, but my dogs are not vicious. I just cannot agree with that. My dog did not cause her any. There's no reason. If she fell, that was on her own time.
I'm just telling you, stupid. You wrote to me what you saw that afternoon. You said she got frightened and she turned away to run away from my dog that got out from an unlatched door. That's what you wrote here. And I'm telling you that that's the law. But for your negligence in letting that dog out of the house unleashed, just a second. I don't care. But for your negligence in allowing the unleashed dog out of your house, she would not be injured. And if you don't get that, I'm really sorry. And I'm sorry that you had 3 children, because I hope that they're smarter than their mother. This case is over. $6,500. Judgment for the plaintiff. We're done.
This court is adjourned.
Thank you, Your Honor.
My dogs are not vicious, and I just cannot agree with the way that it turned out.
I'm happy with it. I definitely need the money to help me with my medical bills.
The dog did not touch her dog, which she is claiming my dog attacked.
He had 3 puncture wounds.
My dog did get out the door, but the dog did not leave my property.
I wish Tanisha well. She's actually a very sweet lady and going to try to be good neighbors.
We're going to continue our daily life.
I'm just happy my dog's around.
You know, every jurisdiction has a list of dogs that statistically are the most dangerous. So first, I don't understand why you would choose a dog that is one of the top 5 in every jurisdiction, most aggressive dogs that have caused more injury, that have had more lawsuits, that have had more hospital reports of injuries, more coroner's reports of death.
Yeah, and that's the risk that they take. And I feel like people don't think of situations like we just saw as frequently as they do the direct bites or incidents directly dealing with their pit bull. The defendant here was trying to make her point that my dog never touched her, my dog never touched her. Well, she was still a plaintiff as a result of your dog, like you said, setting off this chain reaction. So although your dog might not have bit her or broken her leg by biting on her leg and snapping it off, that doesn't matter. It was still as a result of your negligence in letting your 80-pound, all-muscle pit bull that you know more than half the population is afraid of, that caused all of this to unravel.
Yeah. And what I couldn't understand was the inappropriate smile. An incident involving your dog, whether you agree or don't agree with my decision, you have to appreciate the severity of it. She actually saw her, according to her, saw her injured. Plaintiff said, no. It was a guy who came out. So I actually don't believe much of what she said anyway, because either she lied in court or she lied in her affidavit. Either way, she lied, and she's stupid for having those dogs around twins who were then 3 years old. Sorry. So you were cooking tacos. You started to yell because he was getting his food first.
I was raised out in my house, ladies eat first before men.
That's when her mom started tripping. This woman punched me in my face twice.
He supported your family.
Yes.
You were eating tacos that he bought.
Yeah, but
that might have entitled him to take his food first.
This is Judy Justice. Daniel Denham is suing his ex-girlfriend, Tamra Hoffbauer, and her daughter, Danae Outlaw, for an unpaid loan, unauthorized debit card charges, and a false arrest.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Judge, case 3177, Denham versus Hoffbauer, outlaw.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Your last name is?
Hoffbauer.
That's your daughter?
Yes.
17?
Yes.
Mr. Denham, you first met Miss Hoffbauer, according to your complaint, years ago. Is that correct?
Yes.
And that was in Minnesota?
Yes, it was.
Where you were both living?
Yeah.
How old are you, sir?
31, ma'am.
And how old are you?
40.
You have 3 children?
Yes.
How old are they?
15, 17, and 19.
How old were you when you met the defendant?
19.
And how old were you?
I was 30, 31.
Doesn't all add up, but close. And you had a physical relationship. Is that right?
Yes.
Then you moved to California.
Yes.
In what year did you move to California?
I moved out of town first, and then I later moved to California right after. But I was about like 8 years into that.
Okay. And then somehow you and Miss Hoffbauer reconnected. When was that?
I was around, it's like November of 2022. It was a year of 2022, I know that for sure. I'm not quite sure of the date, but it was in...
You reconnected how, on the internet?
Yes.
And according to what I read, you became close again, and you decided that you would move back to Minnesota, where Miss Hoffbauer lived with her 3 children.
Mm-hmm.
Is that right?
Only under the conditions of what I was doing for her, of course.
All I made was a stark statement, which was you decided to go back to live in Minnesota with Miss Hoffbauer and her 3 children.
My apologies, yes.
And she didn't have any money. She had lost a job, she says. She was struggling financially. Where were you living, Miss Hoffbauer, when you were having this internet romance with the plaintiff?
In 2022,
No. Oh. Just answer my question. Where were you living?
In my car.
With your 3 children?
Yes.
So you sent her $6,200 in order to find a place to live for herself, the 3 children, and you were going to join them. That's the story that I'm getting. Is that right?
Yes, and it was also to fix her car, too.
But you sent $6,200, and you do not deny that he sent you $6,200.
No.
No is the answer. And with that $6,200, you found a place to live, a rental.
Yes.
You put down month's rent, month's security, last month. How much was it that you put down?
$3,500.
And what did you do with the rest of the $6,200?
I fixed my car. I needed...
Just a second. You
sorry.
fixed your car.
Yep, fixed my car.
Yes.
And bought household, like some furniture and household items I needed.
In what month and year did you move to Minnesota, Mr. Denham?
October 27th of 2023.
And in what month did you get the apartment? Was that also in October?
It was before that. It was in August is when I moved into my apartment.
The apartment he paid for? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So you moved in August 1st?
Yep.
Yep
is
not an answer.
Yes.
Yes. Yes. It's an answer. And he joined you a couple of months later?
Yes.
You were working in California?
Yes.
What kind of work were you doing?
I was working for a company called Con Global. It's a car shipping port. I was shipping Teslas.
Did you have a job waiting for you in Minnesota?
Yes, I did, but it fell through. But I later ended up getting a new job.
In Minnesota?
Yeah.
So you were there the end of October, and you were there the month of November, living together, and the month of December.
Yes.
On December 31st, which is New Year's Eve, you were cooking.
Yes.
What were you cooking?
I was cooking tacos.
For whom?
For the family.
Had you gotten a job, Miss Hoffbauer? The answer was either a yes or a no.
No.
So you did not have a job from the time you moved into the apartment until December 31st.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes.
And Mr. Denham was supporting you and your 3 children, because prior to Mr. Denham, you were living in your car.
Yes.
All that is true.
Yes.
So you were cooking tacos.
Yes.
And what happened?
Okay, so the meat had just got done.
No, just a second.
Mm-hmm.
You were cooking tacos, and what happened?
And he got up to get his food first.
To get his food first?
Yes.
And?
I had felt some type of way.
You speak slowly so that I can hear you.
I had felt some type of way when he got up to get his food first.
What did she say?
She felt some type of way when he got up first
well,
to get his food.
What kind of way? Don't speak. What kind of way did you feel when Mr. Denham got up to get his food first? And I want you to speak slowly so I don't have to use an interpreter.
I felt like aggravated, because I feel like he shouldn't have got his food first.
That he should not have?
No, because I was raised, and I was raised that in my house, lady eat first before men. That's how I was raised. And I felt some type of way when he got his food first.
Okay, so you were annoyed, some type of way.
Yep.
An unhappy type of way. An unhappy type of way when he went to get his food first, right? Uh-huh, it's not an answer. Yes is an answer.
Daniel Denham claims his ex-girlfriend, Tamra Hoffbauer, and her daughter, Danae Outlaw, owe for an unpaid loan and unauthorized debit card charges. Tamra is countersuing Daniel for an assault.
Okay, so what did you do? What did you do?
I walked away after, and then he started arguing with my mom.
No, you said something. Look at me. Turn your body around, look at me. What did you say to him when he got up to get his food first?
I said, you shouldn't be able to get your food first. And then I said, you shouldn't be able to get your food first. I was yelling, I was mad. I was like...
You were yelling and you were bad. Just a second. That's better. Because it's like I was there, right? Like I have a camera inside. So you started to yell at Mr. Denham because he was getting his food first.
Yes.
I want to ask you this question. You had now lived in the household with Mr. Denham for 2 months.
Yes.
Had you ever heard your mother and Mr. Denham arguing?
Yes.
What did they argue about?
Money.
What was the argument about?
It was about him trying to say that my mom has to give all the money that he gave to my mom back to him.
Okay, so that they were arguing about this $6,200.
Yes.
That he said, you have to give that back to me.
Yes.
And your mom said...
My mom said that she didn't...
No. He said, you have to give that money back to me. Yes. And your mom said what?
No.
No, and that's what they argued about.
Yes.
Yes. So now you're telling me he's got to wait to eat dinner.
Yes.
And you were yelling at him.
Yes.
You yelled at him first.
Yes.
And then what happened?
After I yelled at him, he went to the bed to sit back down to eat his food. And then that's when my mom stepped in to defend me because he was still arguing with me.
Well, just a second. He sat down on the bed to eat his food.
Yep. Yes.
And then your mother came out and he's sitting eating his food.
Yes.
And what did your mother say to him?
Nothing, because we were still arguing. Me and him were still arguing.
What were you arguing about? He was eating.
He was eating, and he also said that he spent $50,000 on me by myself. That's what made me really mad because I don't like when people throw money in my face. And then he was trying to throw money in my face, trying to say he spent all the money on me, and he never spent nothing on me.
Well, you were living in a house he paid for. You were eating tacos that he bought.
Yeah, but...
You were living in Minnesota in December, where it's very cold, and he was paying for the heat, right? You were driving around in a car that wasn't working, that your mother had fixed with his money.
Yes.
All of those things are true, right?
Yes.
Okay. That might have entitled him to take his food first. So he's sitting and eating. Your mother comes over to defend you because you're yelling at him about he's taking his food.
Yes.
And then what happened?
And then after that, him and my mom started arguing.
Okay. Was he still sitting on the bed eating his food? So he's sitting. Is your mother standing or sitting?
She's sitting on the bed, too.
So she's sitting on the bed, and she's yelling at him, and you're yelling at him.
And then I went in my room, and then I let them argue, and then they were both yelling, and then that's when they got, I don't know what happened, because I didn't see him slap my mom really like that. I went in my room, and then he just slapped my mom, and then that's when I came out there.
Well, you said you didn't see that.
No, I didn't really see,
Just a second. You'd said, I didn't see that.
No, I ran in my room, after I heard a little bit of it going on, I ran back out there, and that's when I ran out there to call the police. I ran in the hallway, called police, and he ran out there after me, and he snatched my phone out of my hand and hung up the phone and said, "Don't call the police."
And
then after that, I ran into the neighbor's house and called the police for them to come, because he was trying to take my phone, and said, "Don't call the police," when he slapped my mom.
You didn't see that?
No.
Somebody have a police report?
I do.
I'd like to see it. You have the district attorney's dismissal of your case?
I wasn't able to obtain it.
Okay, but it's over.
Yeah.
Your case is over. It was never tried. Did you speak to the police that day?
Yes.
Well, you just told me a story, then the first couple of lines of the police report are different from the police. I'm just telling you.
Yes.
The first few lines of the police report are different. You said you were raised that a man doesn't take his food first, they eat last. That's what you just told me, correct? She can read that back. That's why Whitney is here.
Yes.
You told the police that you argued about how much food he took to eat. How much food? Not that he went first. So that wasn't true, right?
Yes. Yes.
Well, this police report is interesting. It says that you got involved in this argument and you poked him in the chest and punched him in the right eye. That's what the police report says.
Oh, I did not.
That's what the police report says. And then he slapped you on the left side of your face with his right hand. That's what the police report says. Is that what happened, sir?
No.
Well, you want to tell me what happened?
I'm going to tell you exactly what happened, Your Honor.
Well, that's what I want to hear, exactly what happened.
I was cooking the food since the beginning. Danae was nowhere to be found. I don't even know where she was at the time I was cooking.
You mean the daughter?
Yeah, the daughter. It's 8 pounds of meat. It was me, her, Danae, Samantha, and the other teenage daughter, Danae. Cooking the food, just cooking it. It's done. No one's trying to eat. I even said it was done. I scooped up my food, 1 taco, sat down and started eating. She goes in there, scrapes the pot. Damn, Dino, why you eating up all the food?
Who said that?
The daughter. Then she starts going off, telling me demands, telling me I need to get the out of her house.
Is that what you said to him?
Yes, it is.
Shh. Is that what you said to him?
Yes.
Okay, and?
Or she's calling the cops. And she started calling the cops. So I'm like, what are you doing? Why are you calling the cops? I'm not going anywhere. I've been paying all the bills, this, that, and the other. She just kept on going, and she ended up actually calling the cops. And I'm telling her, get off the phone. What are you doing? That's when her mom started jumping in the conversation. She started tripping. And once I brought up that I just helped you guys out from being stranded, this woman punched me in my face twice.
You let go of her hand.
I wasn't even trying to smack her. I was trying to like block her from punching me. And I guess the block was like a smack to her, but I didn't smack her.
Okay.
It was like my fingertips.
Whatever.
nipped her.
She put her hands on you first.
Yes.
That's what it says in the police report.
Daniel Denham has accused his ex-girlfriend, Tamra Hoffbauer, and her daughter, Danae Outlaw, of owing for an unpaid loan and unauthorized debit card charges. Tamra claims Daniel assaulted her.
Now, you were arrested, charges were dismissed. Ultimately, that case is over. Am I correct?
Yes.
This is what you're suing for. And I'm not even asking you. I asked your daughter. So I'm not going to ask you about the event. I'm just going to ask you as follows. It is true that August, September, October, November, and December, he supported your family.
Yes.
It is. That would be true. And if I believe your daughter, if I believed your daughter, which I don't, it would have been rude of her,
Yes.
to say to him, what are you doing eating that food first?
Yes.
Would have been rude of her.
Yes.
And when she came to get you, did she come to get you or did you hear her?
I was in the living room. I was out there.
Okay, so you were there. So
Yep.
you heard what happened.
I sided with you,
Your
yes.
daughter was rude to the man who was taking care of you and your family. He hadn't been rude to you.
Yes, he was.
Tell me when he was rude to you on December 31st.
He was rude earlier all day that day. He's had an attitude the whole day.
Okay, now, when the police arrested you, how long were you held?
I was held for 3 days.
3 days. From December 31st through January 3rd?
Yes.
And it is your claim that in addition to the $6,200, which your daughter actually acknowledged was a loan because you had been asked to repay it over the entire course of him living there. And that's what you fought about. Look at me. That's what they fought about. Your mother returning the money that he had sent her to get started with her children. They fought about that.
Yes.
That's what you said before.
Yes.
Now, between December 31st and January 3rd, when you were released, were there charges made on your credit card?
Yeah, he spent all my money.
Just a second. Well, I would like to see that.
I also filed a police report about my stolen wallet.
Just a second. So now I'm going to ask you a couple of questions, Ms. Hoffbauer. Between December 31st and January 3rd, did you take any money or use any property that belonged to the plaintiff?
I did. I had
just a second.
permission.
The answer is yes.
Yep. Yes.
And I assume you had no communication with him while he was in jail?
No.
So you didn't have permission to take that money?
Can I say something?
You had no permission to
I
take
did,
that.
though. I had his card before. And
Whether you had his card before or not.
He gave me his card a couple days before that. That card was in my wallet. And I also have text messages asking his dad to come get his stuff, his wallet. Like, come pick it up. Nobody stole his wallet. Because there was an OFP.
Shh. Who are you?
Samantha Neely.
What do you have to do with this case?
I was there the night of the argument and the assault and pretty much a witness because I'm over with...
Was she there?
Yeah, she was there.
Mm-hmm. Okay, now I want you to be real careful. Do you understand?
Yes.
Really careful. You can stand up. Who was cooking? Who? Careful what you say to me. Just be real careful.
Dino.
Because you got here from Minnesota.
Yes.
I assume you want to get back to Minnesota.
Yes.
You lie to me, you don't get back to Minnesota on my dime. You understand that?
Gotcha.
Who was cooking?
Dino.
Point. He was cooking. So far, we're doing okay. And when he was finished cooking, he took his food and went over to sit down where?
Onto the mattress in the living room.
Okay. Now, when he took his food, what did she say to him?
She yelled out loud, "You're taking too much food. You shouldn't eat first. Kids and ladies should eat first."
And what did he answer?
He answered, "There's enough to feed everybody."
There was nothing wrong with that, right?
Right.
Right. When did she tell him to get out of their house?
Right then and there.
Right then and there. He said, "There's enough to feed everybody," right?
Correct.
And she said, "Get out of my house."
Correct.
Now you can sit down. You can go home to Minnesota. You see, the witness says you're a liar. Do you understand that, don't you? Huh?
Yes.
Your witness, $6,200. How much was withdrawn in total, Mr. Denham, while you were incarcerated?
14, 23, 13.
Did you finally get a job?
Yes.
When?
2 months ago.
Months ago, that would be February. Well, meal ticket was gone. Got to get a job. Okay, 7623. Counterclaims dismissed. We're done. Goodbye.
This court is adjourned.
And I'm just tired of dealing with it. I'm just glad it's over with. Justice is going to always prevail, man, and the truth is going to come out regardless. So I cared about them, you know what I'm saying? I had real love for them, you know? I didn't want to have them out here suffering. I got history with them, so it just killed me that they betrayed me like that and trying to screw me over and think they're going to get away with it. I'm going to get a restraining order. Like, I don't want to ever see him again. It definitely bit the hand that fit him.
That little girl was some piece of work.
Oh, yeah. Not so little. 17.
She's 17.
You're away from
but-
being a legal adult.
Yeah, some piece of work. When I saw how this went, felt sorry for him.
Yeah.
Felt sorry for him. And he spent 3 days in jail.
Yeah. And you could tell just at 17, you know, that frontal lobe is not fully developed yet. And you knew the situation. You knew you weren't paying the bills. You knew your sister wasn't paying the bills. You knew your mother wasn't paying the bills. And so to pop off because you felt some type of way about the order in which you ate dinner that he paid for, you know, is just so short-sighted and just proves her immaturity. So, you know, not much you could do, but I'm glad he got his money back.
Can you imagine what our household would look like if I yelled every time Poppy ate?
You cut out my guts. You cut out my guts. You cut out my guts. You cut out my guts and left me to die. I sit here and wonder if you ever wonder why. Did you know what you were doing when you brought us casual slasher. I'm your casual victim. You're my casual slasher. I'm your casual victim. You never were a planner, but you felt a deep decision. Everything's forgiven. I know you didn't mean it. Sometimes things just happen. Everything's forgiven. Yeah. You're my casual slasher. I'm your casual victim. You're my casual slasher. I'm your casual victim. You cut out my guts. 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 You cut out my guts.
अस्सलाम वालेकुम भाइयों, मैं हूं आपका दोस्त रसूल शाह और आप देख रहे हैं रसूल शाह टीच। आज के वीडियो में मैं आपको बताऊंगा कि आपने कैसे बैकग्राउंड चेंज करना है और बनाना कैसे है। जिस तरह मैंने पीछे बनाया है अपना बैकग्राउंड, इसमें मैंने अपना नाम भी लिखवाया है, तो आप भी इस तरह बना सकते हैं। और इसे फिर कैपकट में कैसे चेंज करना है, तो आज की वीडियो में मैं आपको ये बताऊंगा। तो वीडियो को लाइक करें और चैनल को सब्सक्राइब करें और बेल आइकन भी दबाना आपको चाहिए कि मेरी हर वीडियो आप तक पहुंच सके। तो चलिए वीडियो की तरफ चलते हैं।
मोबाइल स्क्रीन आने के बाद फिर आपने क्रोम को ओपन करना है। ओपन करने के बाद फिर आपने इधर टाइप करना है बिंग टाइप करने के बाद फिर आपने जो नीचे आप देख रहे हैं इमेज क्रिएटर फ्रॉम माइक्रोसॉफ्ट, इस पर आपने क्लिक करना है। क्लिक करने के बाद जो डिस्क्रिप्शन मैंने अपने इस वीडियो के डिस्क्रिप्शन में दिया है उसे कॉपी करके आपने इधर पेस्ट करना है। बाद फिर आपने क्रिएट पर क्लिक करना है। क्रिएट पर क्लिक करने के बाद ये थोड़ा सा लोडिंग करेगा, आपकी इमेज क्रिएट होते रहेगी। तो आप इधर देख सकते हैं कि आपके इमेज क्रिएट हो चुके हैं। फिर आपने इधर इस पर थोड़ा सा होल्ड करना है। फिर आपने इधर डाउनलोड इमेज पर क्लिक करना है। डाउनलोड इमेज होने के बाद फिर आपने इसे क्लोज करना है। फिर आपने कैपकट को ओपन करना है। कैपकट को ओपन करने के बाद फिर आपने न्यू प्रोजेक्ट पर क्लिक करना है। फॉर एग्जांपल मैंने ये डाउनलोड किया, मैं इस पिक को लेता हूँ। पिक लेने के बाद फिर आपने ओवरले पर क्लिक करना है। ओवरले क्लिक करने के बाद एड ओवरले पर क्लिक करना है। मैं ये वीडियो लेता हूँ। वीडियो लेने के बाद फिर आपने इसे साइज को थोड़ा सा बढ़ाना है। बढ़ाने के बाद फिर आपने इधर आना है, थोड़ा सा इधर आना है। फिर आपने इधर देखना है रिमूव बीजी, इस पर क्लिक करना है। अपने क्लिक करने के बाद फिर आपने ऑटो रिमूवल पर क्लिक करना है। ऑटो रिमूवल जिस तरह आप क्लिक करेंगे फिर आपकी बैकग्राउंड होता जाएगा फिर आपका बैकग्राउंड चेंज होता जाएगा। तो आप देख सकते हैं फाइनली हमारा बैकग्राउंड रिमूव हो चुका है, आप देख सकते हैं। तो इसी तरह आप बैकग्राउंड चेंज कर सकते हैं। अगर वीडियो अच्छी लगी तो लाइक करें, सब्सक्राइब करें और चैनल और बेल आइकन को दबाना मत भूलिएगा। थैंक यू।